Stories number 1. My negligence cost my partner her life, and I'm about to lose everything. I, 35 now, have been married to Lisa, 28F, for 3 years. Together, 7. A year ago, I fell deeply in love with Amy, 24F, and had been planning to end my marriage for her. I know it's terrible and not what my wife deserves, but we were the real thing. 2 weeks ago, she had an allergic reaction when we were getting food after work, but she used her EpiPen and seemed mostly okay afterwards. She usually gets checked at the hospital after a reaction, but I asked if I could take her home and she could get her friend to drive her there because my wife was expecting me back. All I know is that she had a secondary reaction that evening and died. I didn't even find out about it until the following Monday. Through a work email, it has been eating me up ever since, and I will never forgive myself for not sacrificing an hour of my time to possibly save her. I sent some childish messages to Amy when I didn't hear from her over the weekend because I thought she was angry I didn't take her to the hospital. I am thankful she never saw them and ashamed that I assumed. The worst, our relationship was great and the highs far outweighed the lows. But I have always hated being ignored, and I lose my cool when it happens. It is not a regular occurrence, and I would have more than made it up to her yesterday at work. HR and legal were in the CEO's office all day, and my manager ended up canceling our project meeting because he was with them all afternoon. I was on edge. But an affair isn't exactly a corporate crisis, and I thought something would have already happened. If anyone knew, I am now 99% certain it was about me a few hours ago. I received a message from Amy's phone which said, "This is Amy's brother. Tom, I want you to know it was me." I tried to call, but it went straight to voicemail, and none of my messages have been delivered. Tried to call my manager more times than I should have, and he sent a message saying, "Please don't contact me until Monday morning. I can't discuss anything with you right now." So it looks like my universe is going to collapse. I am going to be fired, and my wife will definitely find out why. All I can do is hope that Amy's brother only showed them the messages from that weekend, and they were bad enough. I have no family except my wife and daughter, and nowhere to go. All of my friends are either people I've met through my wife or my colleagues. On Monday, everything I've spent over a decade working towards disappears. I can't stop it. I can't talk to anyone about it. So here I am. I know cheaters are the devil. So I'm not expecting sympathy, but this is making my chest hurt, and I need to get it out there. Update. My negligence cost my partner her life, and I'm about to lose everything. I have been consistently harassed for an update since posting. So please take it, gloat, because you're such wonderful people in comparison. Then stop following me around Reddit. I am suffering in the wake of my infidelity and unprofessional behavior, as I knew I would. I understand that it is an appropriate outcome, and I am taking full accountability. I was suspended from work on Monday, and I'll probably be fired sooner than I thought. I'd hoped to be able to save money as HR built their case, but it looks like Amy's brother basically performed the entire investigation for them. After an excruciating 3-hour run-through of everything they had, I spoke to the founder, and he recommended the solicitor I am now using. The issue is that the company has to come down hard to protect themselves, because even though Amy's family doesn't have much chance of a claim, any suggestion of a cover-up could cause damage regardless. The founder still thinks my offer to pay them back will keep it out of court, and some more information has come to light. So it's not certain I won't be prosecuted, but I'm quietly hopeful. I can't afford to keep the solicitor if this goes much further, especially with a divorce on the horizon. Things are not good with my wife. I'm still committed to making this as easy as possible for her, but I had to draw a line when it came to my daughter. When I got home from being unceremoniously escorted out of my office, she already had a bag packed for me. She wouldn't let me wait at the house until my daughter was back. She wouldn't let me check I had everything I needed. She wouldn't let me take the car, and she didn't care that I had nowhere to go. I spent 2 nights in a hotel, then went back when she refused to let me see my little girl. She tried to stop me, but we own the house jointly, and it was my only option. My wife has family she could stay with, but she won't leave our daughter here, and she's absolutely not taking her. So we're at a stalemate right now. I'm keeping out of her way as best I can, which I appreciate is the least I can do. The Amy situation is quite difficult to talk about, and a lot hasn't sunk in yet. It turns out that she didn't love me as much as I loved her. If at all, her brother sent me images of her talking to her friends about me, and it's hard to believe they came from the person I loved. But they are real, Sorry to those who were heavily invested in me being a predatory abuser, but she and her friends had a good laugh about her manipulating me for money and a promotion. The role came with a big pay rise, and it looks like her plan was to treat it as free cash, then go work with one of her friends when it fell through. She knew I'd come under scrutiny whenever she messed up and assumed I'd keep stepping in to save her. She was right, obviously. I am completely humiliated. I was planning to give up everything to build a life with her, and she was treating me like a joke the whole time. My feelings are complicated, so please don't feel entitled to any expansion on this, but I no longer feel guilt over her death. Reddit acted like I kept her hostage whilst she begged for help. What actually happened was that I asked if she could ask her friend to take her to the hospital because I had to go home. She said that was fine because she needed to get some clothes back from her anyway, and I dropped her off as normal. Ultimately, she was an adult who had a better understanding of her medical needs than I did. I still don't know what happened between us saying goodbye and her death, but whatever it was, it had nothing to do with me. I'm sorry for her family's loss, but I bear no responsibility for her passing. After Amy's messages to her friends were passed around, a few people quietly reached out with words of support. I assumed everyone would write me off like Reddit did, as an abuser and predator. Now it's clear that Amy was using me. They see me as a fool who had then lost it all. It's beyond humiliating. But I have learned I'd rather be pitied than despised, and it improves my legal position with work. They're small mercies, but I'll take what I can get. I remain filled with regret, and I will have learned many lessons by the time I get through this. I may have been deceived, but I am a grown man who made my choices, and I take full responsibility for them. TLDR, I am currently suspended from work, but will certainly be fired. It's unclear whether I am in serious legal trouble. My wife and I are not navigating the end of our relationship brilliantly, but for my daughter's sake, we will get better. Amy turned out to be a better manipulator than she was a project manager, and her brother outed her whilst trying to ruin me. Life is deservedly hard right now, but I'm working through it. I'm a co-worker of someone whose Reddit story about work went viral. I'm feeling chatty. So I guess. Inspired by this post where someone asked if they'd ever seen a Reddit post about themselves, I'm in the comments. Because I worked at the same company as this guy, and in the same department as his affair partner, who died under very sad circumstances. You can read all about it from his perspective. Conveniently, I only joined Reddit quite recently, but I was aware of the post a few weeks after. It was made because it was passed around the office and gave us all a ton of information which made a lot of things suddenly make sense. We were all extremely invested at the time, and weirdly, the story you all saw set off a series of events which basically led to an entire division of the company quitting. I've seen it repeated on a few of those TikTok Reddit read-through accounts, and a few people in the comments of the post I saw earlier today seemed interested. So because the company didn't think to get me to sign any additional confidentiality agreements when I left an equally dramatic, but also closely related story, I figured I'd spend a Friday night drinking wine and spilling tea if anyone wants someone. Thing I do need to mention is that the original OP has a brain injury he didn't disclose in his posts. I can't speculate too much on that, and I'm not saying it makes his actions forgivable, but it would be crazy to pretend it's not a factor. He lives independently, but from what I'm aware, his brother helps him a lot. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Did it end up going to court? Reply, no. They all used to abuse their expenses, and they knew he could bury everyone if it ever saw the inside of a courtroom. He claimed to be running out of money in his last post, but it was common knowledge he got a huge payout. After his accident, a sign wasn't properly mounted on a shop front, and it fell on him when he was walking past, so he could have easily afforded to take it all the way. I imagine the first question would have been why they gave someone with brain damage a company card with no restrictions and no written policy on what they could and couldn't use it for. Commenter 2. Any chance he could have spent the payout all on Amy or on drugs? I mean, I guess there's a good chance his wife would have noticed, but he obviously hadn't been thinking clearly for a long time. Reply. Definitely not drugs. He drank in moderation, but was pretty judgmental about anything else. Amy. Absolutely, he spent thousands and thousands on her. She would link him to things over and over again, until he bought them for her. The HR guys were disgusted when they got the phone back and saw all the messages. I haven't seen the messages myself, but they said enough to confirm it was extremely predatory. Commenter 3. I know you shared he has a TBI that influenced his thinking. Was it as wildly apparent and handicapping to his professional life as it was his personal? He seems easily manipulated if you fed his ego the most minimal scraps. Reply. It was really weird, and I can't think of a better way to put it than really fucking weird. I'm an engineer by trade, and he could ask a million extremely complex questions about the technology I was working on, and pose reasonable follow-ups based on my answers, which required a ton of domain knowledge, not immediately after the accident. But certainly within a year he could also, within minutes of making a super insightful point which totally changed the direction of my week, fall apart because his sandwich had too much mayo. I don't know if you've ever seen the expressions of a child superimposed on an adult's face, but it's unsettling in a way that sticks with you. I personally couldn't, in good conscience, treat him like an adult full-time. He was fine maybe 80% of the time, but when he slipped, it was like interacting with an 8-year-old in an adult's body. He wouldn't say much when he got confused, but his face would totally change. I don't know him well, but I am not convinced he could properly consent to a sexual relationship. Commenter 4. Did any of you know her was having an affair before it all imploded? Did you attend her funeral? What's coworker doing now? Note that I have read the story but don't remember everything, so I don't know if the answers have also been said. Reply. We had no idea. They didn't work together directly and didn't have any reason to interact much in the office. The pairing didn't make sense to any of us. You'd never put them together in a million years. She had one friend in the office who attended the funeral and who was dismissed because of the content of their messages to each other. She was in the kind of role that can make or break a project, even though she had absolutely no talent, experience, or interest. That mystery was obviously solved pretty quickly after she died. So even though it's objectively super shitty, we were basically relieved because we wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. For context, she was project managing a team of physicists and electrical engineers on a pretty heavy government-backed project, and she was initially hired as an office admin assistant with zero previous experience. We were all surprised by the promotion, but it was the kind of company you could build your way up in, so it just seemed like a misstep. Former co-worker hasn't worked since, from what I know. He's living independently in what I'm vaguely aware of being a retirement-type community, but his brother deals with his finances and helps him out with general life stuff. He's allowed to drive and stuff, so he's obviously fine in the ways that matter. But I'm not sure he'll work again. Commenter 5. With as much detail as you can get into, how did this guy's mess lead to the whole cascade of people quitting? Also, I'm fascinated by the affair partner's brother's arrest and all the drama he brought down on the whole office. What happened there? Reply. He mentioned in his posts that one of the founders of the company gave him advice about the situation and got him in touch with the solicitor, who ended up representing him. That was the stick they used to beat the founder in question with, and after an EGM, he was suddenly no longer with us in any capacity. The founder was the inventor of the technology we based all of our work on, and he is a genius, but also a great guy. He was absolutely and consistently and correctly opposed to our stuff being applied to defense. As soon as he was pushed out, we got a new brief, and the TLDR is that the entire R&D division was handpicked by him, and we were collectively smart and talented enough to be fine after we quit on the spot when killing brown kids became part of the role. Commenter 6. I'm in the US, so I admit this may be a culture thing. Was it just that he advised him to seek counsel and gave him a name? That's not at all unusual in the US. TBH. Reply. The general take was that they wanted him gone because he was standing in the way of some juicy contracts, and that was the opportunity that presented itself. I don't know the gory details because I don't work at that level, but the version that filtered down was that he acted against the interests of the business. Defense is where the money is, and the tech was pretty much perfect for the sector. Commenter 7. What happened with the brother's arrest? Reply. I don't know much about that, but he fucked up the head of HR's car so badly she had to get a new one. We just got an email about it that just said legal action was pending, and I heard from one of the other HR women that he was arrested at her house. Commenter 8. What was Amy like? What was her brother like? I saw a comment somewhere that the brother got arrested for something as a result of conversations between Amy and others that he disclosed. What happened? Reply. I'm going to speak ill of the dead. She was horrible, lazy, judgmental, mean, and arrogant. When she was promoted into project management, she didn't bother learning the core tech, so her decisions were consistently poor, which forced us to go around her all the time to get to reasonable outcomes. Her once told me I'd never get a husband, then burst. into tears and complained to HR when I asked where the queue of men wanting to put a ring on her finger was. She would pick at the weaker members of the team, highly technical people who were very sweet but lacked social skills usually, and was a general bully. I was pretty nasty to her too, so my hands aren't exactly clean. But I had great relationships with everyone else, so I do think she was the problem. The brother sent lots of messages in, and the company ended getting the phone and passcode from him. I'm very light on details on this one, but whatever was on there was damning enough for them to cancel her death in service benefits, which were going to go to her mom. The brother sent some threatening messages and managed to find out where the HR head lived. I don't know exactly what he did to her car, but it was a write-off and he was arrested for it. We got a big email saying legal action was pending and that any comms from him needed to be forwarded straight to a dedicated email address. I left while that was all pending, so never heard a follow-up. But I doubt it went very far given how sticky the whole situation was. Commenter 9. Do you know what texts he sent the affair partner over the weekend that he was worried about? Reply. I never saw them, but they sounded more pathetic than aggressive from what I heard, and very much in line with his usual reaction to feeling ignored. He wasn't really aware of the boundaries between asking and pestering. I logged in on a Monday morning a few times to something like question. Hello? Hello? Why aren't you answering? I know you've seen this. Why are you ignoring me? Are you mad with me? I should be mad with you. This could be make or break for the company. You're not committed to the company. I always knew you were useless. Everyone thinks it. Are you there? Why aren't you answering me? We are going to lose this client if you don't get back to me today. Hello? Hello? Are you okay? You get the idea. Tens of messages, but as soon as I'd answer the question, he'd thank me and be totally professional. With his follow-up, the best way I can describe it is that he was fine right up to the point where he needed to regulate himself in any way. He couldn't have sat in a client meeting, but because we all knew the score, we worked to keep him leveled out. I can't see him saying anything particularly horrible to her. I can almost guarantee you I've looked her in the eye and said worse. Commenter 10. Do you know how the ex-wife is going now? And how are you going? I can't imagine that was a comfortable place to work. But maybe I'm thinking it was more toxic than the reality. Embezzlement and unearned promotion aside, I guess it could be any workplace. Reply. From what I know, which isn't much, she's doing well. She moved on quite quickly to another partner. But TBH, I think she'd probably been seeing him for a while. I don't judge her for that. She was totally dedicated to Tim's rehabilitation, and I don't imagine they'd lived as man and wife in the traditional sense since the accident. I'm really well, thanks. I am pretty laid back, so a lot of the toxicity passed me by because I was doing interesting work with really talented people. The attitude to money also got us a lot of perks, which obviously isn't great on paper, but we had a lot of fun. A few of us work together now. It's a really niche area, so the same people pop up everywhere you go, and we obviously get to tell a lot of funny and some not so funny stories. So the old place has pretty much become the stuff of legend in our corner of the industry. Commenter 11. So the wife was also cheating on him when he was busy boffing Amy? Reply. I imagine so. The timelines wouldn't really have made sense otherwise. Commenter 12. Knowing this about him, how much do you think his recommendation of her factored into her getting the promotion? I mean, if his judgment around the people side of the business needing to be taken off client work was already suspect, did the other managers put much weight into his personnel opinions? Reply. It was 100% him. This was all confirmed after the fact. It just seemed like a weird promotion at the time because someone else would have been better. We did all think the pretty woman element factored in, but not so directly. I assume there were at least suspicions at his level because she was a known problem. But the business was really keen to invest in talent on that side of the company. There was a huge earnings gap between the R&D engineering side and the admin staff, so they tried to develop them into project managers and scrum master type roles to set them up for a career boost in their next job. The founder was really into it. He came from nothing and wanted to see everyone do well. Commenter 12. As far as you know, what's the custody situation like with his daughter now? The only thing I agreed with him on, in his original post, is that he remains strongly involved in her life. Reply, I have no idea on that one unfortunately, but I don't think his ex-wife would keep them apart. She's a genuinely good person, and they were always like two peas in a pod. He used to talk about her all the time and she came into the office quite often. She's a really sweet little Girl, and they were very cute and silly together. Commenter 13. The other candidate for the promotion that got shafted in favor of his affair partner, how did she take the news that said partner was only promoted and held her position due to a quid pro quo? Did she ever get that promotion, or did she quit the company as well? Reply, it was a man. And if I get a say, he'll never work again. 1. Part of Tim's original story that is outright untrue is that neither his affair partner or the other candidate were fully qualified for the role. The other guy was more than qualified. And that's about the only good thing I can say about him. I was there when he got his revenge, and I haven't spoken to him since. Along with pretty much everyone present on paper, I totally agree that the OP deserved to get the shit kicked out of him. But when it actually happened, it was like watching a child being abused. He was scared and confused and didn't defend himself in any way. I nearly cried at the thought of it whilst writing this comment. It was truly disgusting. The other guy was wronged in a really significant way, but there's absolutely no excuse for what he did. Commenter 14. My apologies if I missed this in his original post, but the candidate who was overlooked ended up beating up the OP male co-worker who had the affair? Reply, yeah. Tim didn't mention it in his posts, but the other candidate beat him halfway to hell when it all came out. This all happened in the bar next to the office after he'd been fired. I don't know why he turned up because he didn't really get a chance to say much before the other guy. I'm trying not to introduce names because Tim used everyone's real name and the OP started absolutely thrashing him. It was awful. People were in tears watching it happen. Commenter 15. I have to assume that physically assaulting someone with a known brain injury would be considered highly egregious due to the fact you could easily make it worse. Was the co-worker arrested? Did they do jail time? Reply, zero consequences that I'm aware of other than being fired. Unfortunately, the police spoke to us all on the day, and we all signed the form that said we'd be willing to act as witnesses if it went to court. But none of us ever heard back. I don't even know if he was arrested, but he dialed into the call where he was fired from his house, and that was early the next day. I share your assumption about the potential for it to worsen the original injury. I still feel a lot of guilt about not doing anything at the time. I completely froze, and still, occasionally have nightmares about it. Commenter 16. I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall when this all came out. I bet the office was buzzing. How were you all told? Was it all through email, or did they have a meeting with the staff? Do you remember the afternoon his manager was in the room with legal and HR? Did you notice how he was acting? Was he agitated, or did he seem fine? From his post, it seems like he was crapping himself. Did anyone else think it odd that the manager, legal, and HR were all together that afternoon? Also, how did his wife find out all about this? Did he tell her? Or did someone from the company phone her? I'm sorry for all the questions, but this has me gripped. And also hello from a fellow UKer. I should be asleep right now, but I'm too invested in reading all the answers. Reply. It was absolutely crazy. Even reliving it is giving me the same rush as when it happened, from what I'm aware. He initially sent it to the hello email address, which was managed by the HR department, because it was mainly people wanting to work for us, so it was kept quiet at first. We knew a big player in defense was sniffing around and that the board was split over it, so we all assumed the crazy meetings that day with legal were because of that. Conveniently for us, that prompted a conversation in the team about whether we'd stay if we went full Evil Corp. I didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. With Tim on that day, we were all on edge because of the possible change of direction. So he'd have blended right in if he was panicking, as you'll be aware. He has a brain injury, so his responses could be quite big, even over small things. It all came out on the Monday. A few of us are early risers. I'm not one of them. And by the time I got into the office, shit had well and truly hit the fan. I don't know what the conversations with Amy's brother looked like, but he followed up on the Monday by sending the screenshots to what I assume was every company email address he could find. I'm still annoyed the cleaners got them, but I didn't. But I managed to see a few on someone else's screen before. We were all locked out of our accounts, so they could go in and delete everything. Tim was in a blackout room with various execs and legal when I arrived, and he was walked out at about 10 a.m. It was quite sad. He was clearly very emotional. My theory is that it was the head of HR who told Lisa. We all knew her pretty well. She was in the office all the time when Tim was recovering, and she dealt with HR a lot for his back to work and occupational health stuff. I don't know if they were friends, but they used to go out for lunch together when she was around. I don't know exactly who got the emails though, so it could have been someone else. HR had always struck me as a girl's girl though. So good for her if it was. Commenter 17. I realize I'm late to this party, but I'm curious, regarding the TBI, when exactly did that happen? Was it before or after the affair? Was it before or after he blew off the SIL's stillborn child service so he could be with the AP? Reply, his accident was in 2022, so long before any of this stuff, and everyone who knows him is of the opinion that the TBI was the driving factor for the affair and everything that came afterwards. Missing the memorial service for the baby was something we only knew about because of the post, and even knowing his challenges, it's impossible to be anything other than disgusted by it. Stories number 2. I-25F begged for an open relationship. 8 months in, he leaves me. 8 months ago, I-25F asked my partner 28M for an open relationship. As I got bored with him, nothing wrong, but he just didn't excite me much and he agreed. But he proceeded to tell me, there's a catch. If he catches feelings for a partner, he's going to leave me for her. And that's exactly what happened, and I want him back in my arms. He left me for his new partner. 28, 29-ish. What can I do to win the love of my life back? Relevant, comments commenter. 1. NGL. That's the ultimate reverse card for this situation. Big ups your ex. Reply. Really? Commenter 2. Haha. Good for him. Get a therapist to help you work on yourself so you learn to end an unhealthy relationship instead of pretending to be poly. Reply. I have been in and out of therapy for at least a year now. Commenter 3. Yes. Really? You played yourself. He didn't excite you, so you asked for an open relationship and now you want him back, when he caught feelings for someone else while in the open relationship that you asked for in the first place. You only have yourself to blame for this one. You should stay single for a while and grow up. Reply. I don't want to be single. I want to prove to my BF I can be better now. Commenter 4. Open relationship. Phew. I needed that laugh, but seriously. Though kudos is to those who are able to make it work. But seriously, you OP need to stay the fuck away from your former SO. An open relationship is no way to fix a relationship. You may have loved him at the start, but when you decided that that was what you needed, it ended your relationship. He is hopefully now in loving, committed relationship with someone who loves him for him, and not a toy you get bored with. You need to move on, maybe work on some inner insecurities in order to have a loving relationship with another person down the line. Good luck, for what it's worth. Reply. I can't. He's my entire life. We were the kids next door, elementary buddies. Hey, sweethearts. He and I are one. Commenter 5. It sounds like he warned you clearly that he didn't want an open relationship and would use the opening of yours as a chance to meet new people to move on with, and you ignored him. There's really no fixing this without a time machine. Reply. Why'd he wait 8 months to leave me then? OP responds to a comment on why she was getting bored of her ex. Reply. Well, I only got bored 'cause if my ADHD, my mind's not on him all the time. Him as a person has never bored me. I gave him sex a lot 'cause I thought it'd make things better. It's not on my BF, it's on ADHD update. I-25F begged for an open relationship. 8 months in, he leaves me. Probably nobody asked for this. But here's an update. I was kicked out of his house last Sunday. That's 6 days now. And I excruciatingly miss him. I will do anything to get him to return to me, but he looks happy on social media with his new partner that I'm pretty sure he was cheating on me with. Anyways, I tried calling him. No answer. I saw him in public and he pretended to not even know who the fuck I was. He won't acknowledge my existence. So I went to our former place just to talk, and things got hostile. His new GF hates me for some reason. I didn't even know her, and she proceeded to try and attack me, while he tried to split us up and get me out the door. When he had his back turned, she maced me, and now he's trying to file a restraining order on me. The hell did I do wrong? She attacked me and pepper sprayed me. How can I convince him he's dating a psychopath? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Why do you want someone who you are bored with him, Nothing wrong, but he just didn't excite me much. Reply. I just wanted us to have no strings attached relationships, so when we got back together, the spark would be back. Commenter 2. You got what you wanted, and if anyone sounds like a psychopath, it's you who's stalking their ex. Seek some mental help, or do some inner reflection. But most importantly, leave the man alone and move on. Reply. Stalking? I previously lived at that residence. Commenter 2. Are you still a resident there? No, you're not. He's the owner of the property, and yes, it's stalking. Continue to press it, and he is well within his rights to have you trespassed. Reply. Our names is on the lease, and he hasn't bought out my half. Commenter 3. You need to leave him alone. This isn't going to end well for you. Reply. I can't walk away until this is fixed. OP shouldn't show up at her ex's house uninvited. Reply. Well, I showed up to get the last of my items. He said they were in the trunk of the car. Hell, open it and I could get them. New GF Jess fake name comes to the door while he's getting his keys and says, Why are you here? Me. To get the last of my stuff and see Harry fake name one last time. Well, hurry up. We're in the middle of a movie. Excuse me? Who are you to rush me? J, his new partner, and I want you gone. I live here, you hag. That's when she slapped me. We started getting tangled, and Harry separated us and opened the trunk. He turns to head upstairs and she maces me. Commenter 4. So I hate to say it, but you are responsible for him leaving you, and you need to just let it go. I saw your original post, but you can't sit there and say you got bored with him, wanted to fuck other men. Then he finds someone he falls for and leaves you, and now you're trying to get him back. I'm sorry, but you can't have your cake and eat it too. This is why people need to truly think about an open relationship, because if you're just trying to get your rocks off, well, it's called talking to your partner about your needs, instead of just saying you want other men at this point. It's over. You need to accept it and just go on with your life. Reply. My life's over. Before I opened my mouth, we were having the marriage and children talks. Commenter 5. And if it was an open relationship, then how was it cheating? Reply. Because he left me within 8 months. That's way too fast. Commenter 6. You brought this all on yourself. He didn't cheat on you. You asked for an open relationship. This is the result. He dumped you for someone that loves and respects him. The only course of action you have open to you now is to walk away and get therapy. Reply. I'm in therapy already. Correction. He was dating a psycho. LOL. Leave that man alone, learn from your fuck up and do better next time. Reply. Referring to me? Update 2, Quantum 5F, 28mm. My ex followed through with his restraining order on me. This will probably be the last update. The restraining order has been filled, and I am not allowed within 100 FT of my ex Harry and his new GF. Jess, I'm planning to move back to my home in Arizona and start over. They're happy, and I just want to find peace with myself. Thanks for everyone's advice and opinions. Yes, I was already in therapy and I am still in therapy. Please, anyone my age or younger, listen to my advice. TikTok is not cool. Please delete it. It's done me nothing but harm. And other people's stupidity can really poison your minds. In living proof. Thank you. Take care. Top comments. Commenter 1. You wanted an open relationship. He said yes, but told you if he felt a connection with someone else, then he would do the right thing and break off your relationship rather than have an emotional affair. You agreed he felt a connection with someone and realized you're insane. He was upfront with you that he wanted to end things. You blame wanting the open relationship on your ADHD because you were bored. You then tried to claim he cheated when you're the one that wanted the open relationship. You went to his house to start a fight when you wouldn't leave their place. She rightfully maced you to make you leave. You call her a psycho even, though you're the one that harassed them constantly. You think he was wrong for getting a restraining order against you even though you're the aggressor. You're now blaming TikTok for your actions. Did that sum it all up? Commenter 2. This all started because TikTok told you to open your relationship. Honestly though, I hope you're able to build yourself a solid mental foundation before falling into another relationship. Update 3. It's been 2 years. I've tried to stay offline and live life, but my ex and his now wife find new ways to live in my head, rent-free. I wanted an open relationship, so what? You don't just string me along for 8 months, get some new girl who you met through me, and then marry her. This isn't fair. She's living in my home with something should be my husband, and he's been renewing the RO ever since it first expired. And I know he's gonna keep doing it. Because for reasons beyond my knowledge, the man hates me. ML Top comments. Commenter 1. And here you are, still blaming everyone else for your own actions. Do your future partners a favor, and stay single until you're willing to accept the consequences of your actions. Commenter 2. Why are you still this obsessed? 2 years later about a guy you said didn't excite you much. Seems like you got much more interested once he wasn't available to you any longer. I think it's more that you want what you can't have. Stories number 3. My best friend's husband went through my phone and it ended our friendship. For context, my best friend and I have been close for years. Friends since we were little, went to high school together, being through all the ups and downs of life. I was her maid of honor at her wedding. We even have a couple matching tattoos together. She's one of those people I always thought would be in my life forever. We've shared everything with each other. I was actually friends with her husband before they even got together. There had been many times that we were there for each other, and I consider him a best friend. That's why what happened completely shocked me, and has left our friendship in pieces. One day, she and I went for a long walk to check out a new grocery store in town. Yes, in small towns we get excited about getting a new grocery store. I left my phone at her house because I like to unplug and be fully present with her. About halfway there, she got a call from her husband saying my phone's alarm was going off. I told her I didn't have any alarms set, but he asked for my passcode so he could turn it off. Since I trusted them, I gave it to her to pass along. When we got back about 3.5 hours later, like I said, a long walk. Once we got back, I checked my phone and could see that the alarm app was still left open in the background since he did go in and turn it off. Then I seen that my phone was left on a different pages than where the alarm clock app had been, which was my home page, where I always swipe to before locking my phone. When I tell you that I always swipe to my home page before locking my phone, I mean I have some weird OCD tendencies to always do this. If I forget, I will open my phone again and do it. I cannot emphasize this enough that I always do this. Then I noticed I had missed a call from my boyfriend and a bunch of Snapchat notifications from a work friends group chat. When I asked her husband if that's what he heard going off, he avoided eye contact and vaguely said, "I don't know. It was just some alarm sound." Later at home, I told my roommate and her friend what happened. My roommate checked my phone's screen time history, and that's when things got really unsettling. According to screen time, during the hours I was gone, my phone showed about 15 minutes in Snapchat, 15 minutes in my photos, 10 minutes in my Google Photos, and 5 minutes in my text messages, and only 15 seconds in the alarm app. This was shocking. Background apps don't count towards screen time unless they're actively open on the screen, so this meant he was actively in those apps. I confronted my best friend about it. She immediately spoke to her husband, who came back with a bunch of inconsistent excuses, saying he only opened apps to stop the alarm and didn't actually look at anything. He claimed he opened apps with notifications, didn't read them, then closed them all. But his story kept changing, and nothing explained why he was in my photos at all, where there are no alarms or notifications. When I pointed out the holes in his story and the screen time proof, she asked me, "Do you have proof he went through your photos? I just don't understand why you're so adamant that he's lying." That honestly broke me. I'd shown her the evidence, and she still defended him. I asked for space after that and haven't spoken to either of them in 3 months. I've since had to change my number due to phone issues, so she couldn't contact me even if she wanted to. My boyfriend wants nothing to do with them. He believes her husband is a cheating asshole and was looking for nudes. He thinks that we're better off without them. I feel so heartbroken and betrayed, and I keep going back and forth on what to do. Should I try reaching out and attempt to repair this, or just cut my losses and move on? Stories. Number 4. Aita. For filing a police report on a good friend who was caught on video stealing my boyfriend's camera at a dinner. She has refused to help me either replace it in full or contribute to the cost of replacing it. We were out to dinner one night at an expensive hotel. My boyfriend let me borrow his Canon G7X 1800 camera to bring to take pictures with my friends. At the conclusion of the dinner, I went up to the room and realized the camera was gone. I went back right down to the table and no one had seen it. I immediately got with hotel security and she is on video, clear as day, swiping the camera when my back was turned and shoving it in her purse I covered for her initially with my friend, and contacted her to find a resolution. She had taken the camera with her and my other friends to a club after dinner, which I did not attend, and lost it there. For background, this is my good college friend who I know well, the camera thief. She has been taken on free trips to Coachella and St. Barth's on my dime, not kidding, as well as many other things. We have done a lot together and are good friends, so I expected her to feel sorry. Initially she lied, saying she did not have it. When I told her we had video, she confessed, and then said yes, she took it, but lost it at the next bar she went to with my other friends. It is now gone. I asked her to help me replace it by going in on me with the cost. She has refused all measured or resolutions, and now I feel I have nothing left to do but file a police report and let them handle it. It is impacting my relationship, and I am furious my friend is not helping at all. Why should I be on the hook for something she stole? I have given her 3 weeks to help me resolve this, but she insists she is going to do nothing. I am being pressed by my boyfriend to either replace the camera or help him file a report with her info, and the footage. I even asked her to just throw in half or less than half the cost to help, but she still refuses. I do not want her to get in trouble, but I am at the point where I feel she really does not care. Update. I sent her a text this AM telling her if I do not receive full cost of the camera or shipping confirmation of a new camera from an approved vendor to a provided address by end of day Friday, we will be filing a report with the police Saturday AM. I felt like an asshole typing this out to her, but I have to do it. Update X2. She told me she is sick of me and that I will be receiving a tracking number by 12 Eastern on Friday and not to blame her if the package is never received. I told her if she was my real friend, she would be sorry, and in no way will I allow this to be flipped on me. Should I ask if the camera is new or the one that disappeared? Comments. Commenter. YTA. Is there a reason you are choosing your thieving friend over your boyfriend? She's made it clear she's not your friend, and that she's not going to make this right. The police report should have been filed the moment she said she wasn't going to pay for it. If I were your boyfriend, I would be reconsidering the relationship with you over this. You're really dragging your feet to make this right. Get the report made and replace his camera. Commenter 2YTA. Not even sure why you are asking. I have rarely seen a post with more asshole-ish behavior on here. You are an asshole to your BF. Kind guy trusted you with something valuable, and you are not even giving him all information you have after it got swiped. You brought your asshole friend to this dinner. You are an asshole for not filing a report. You are an asshole to yourself for not holding this fucking friend accountable. What the hell do you mean, throwing in half? Get your head out off your ass and go file a report. Make sure your BF is made whole. Be utterly embarrassed with your own behavior here and do better next time. Commenter 3. If she lied about stealing it, what makes you think she's not lying about losing it at a bar? Also, the outright refusal to replace the camera is wild. You are NTA for reporting her, but you are for letting her use you like this. That girl is not your friend. Commenter 4. Girl WTF? If this ridiculous story is true, then please stop being a pushover. You should have reported her that night. Grow a spine and report her and give the police the tape. She is not your friend. Seems like she has not been your friend in a long time, and you are too foolish to see it. She obviously uses you for free trips and things. This probably isn't even the first time she stole from you. The fact that you even hesitated to report her for stealing your BF's camera is very strange. I would have broken up with you if I were him for not having his back and for trying to protect someone who obviously doesn't even like or respect you really. YTA for even waiting this long to do anything about it. Stories number 5. Aita for refusing to spend time with my twin sister because she took my ex's side and insults me for not fighting for my ex when she broke up with me. My ex GF16F broke up with me 16M in March. We dated for 2 years. She broke up with me 5 hours before our planned date by saying she wanted someone else. I was pissed that she waited to tell me before our date, but I didn't try to change her mind or anything. Mom always told me if there's someone else, let go or let them go, but it's never fair when someone in a relationship has feelings for someone else, and I listened to her advice. My sister twin 16F was friends with my ex, but we had been really close, too, until then. But she kept asking me why we broke up and why I didn't try and win her back. It was in May when she told me my ex didn't actually want us to break up, and there wasn't someone else. She just wanted me to chase her and fight for her. I was like, that's never happening. And I called it really childish, which pissed my sister off. Right after my ex told me she didn't want us to break up, and she was upset I didn't try winning her back, I got mad and said she broke up with me for someone else. And she was like, you knew that wasn't true, and I just wanted you to fight for us and be that kind of boyfriend. In June, she actually dated a guy, and my sister kept telling me about them, and how it was my fault I said no and ignored her, mostly. After 2 or 3 weeks of me not caring, she started calling me an asshole, a jerk, a shithead, a dumbass. And she said I was just like one of Taylor Swift's exes who couldn't accept his girlfriend wanting more. I tried talking to my sister to make her stop, but she was so firmly on my ex's side, and up her ass she might as well have been dating her. I said that to her too, and she called me disgusting. And my sister still insults me every day over this. She is still crazy mad at me for not chasing after a girl who broke up with me and who pretended to like someone else to try and make me fight. I even found out my ex wanted me to get into a fight with one of the guys to win her or some shit. And my sister was like, yeah, you should have done that. My parents knew and told her to knock it off, but they were annoyed because I won't spend time with my sister or with the whole family. I told them I'm tired and don't want to deal with her, and don't want to pretend we have each other's backs anymore, because she's got my ex's back only. My dad tried this man-to-man talk where he said my sister and I need each other, and how one day we'll only have each other. I told him they should have made sure she learned that. He was like, are you just never going to have a relationship with her again? And I said, hopefully. I told him she'll just find ways to bully me and pick fights with me when I don't do what she thinks I should. Mom talked to me after Dad, and she asked me if it hurt that my sister was taking my ex's side. And I was like, yeah. And I said, there was nothing that would undo that, because it's not that this was a thing in March, and it's over. I said, she's torturing me over this months after my ex broke up with me, and she even tried to help my ex make me jealous. Mom told me she would get it to stop, and I told her she might be wasting her time because if not at home, she'll do it in school. She told me to let them try at least. Dad still gets annoyed at me for not hanging out with my sister. Mom's better. She knows that my sister really hurt my feelings and she told her. But my sister brought up my ex's feelings. Dad was then like, you're 85 minutes older and you should look out for your sister and spend time with her. He keeps telling me to think of when I'll regret being done with her. Comments. Commenter 1. So instead of fixing their bully of a kid, they are attacking the victim of said bullying and think the victim should be fixing it? Man, your parents suck as parents and as people. NTA. Reply. My mom came around to see why I felt like I did. She's trying to do the fixing, but I don't think she can fix this. My sister's clearly chosen a side and it wasn't mine. Commenter 2. Just start calling her a bully to her and your family. When they keep pushing, ask Dad why he's allowing it. Ask him why it's okay to be abused in your own home, and then asking why your sister has no consequences then and only. Then will you discuss her behavior and see if anything changes. Commenter 3. You never have to date someone you don't want to. If it's over, it's over. At 16 it feels difficult, and the golden rule is, if you have to chase them, they aren't worth catching. I imagine your sister is friends with her, and is doing the immature girly thing of automatically being on the side of her friend, even when it's obvious to everyone else she's on the wrong side. Sometimes we fall out with family. If your sister doesn't get her head out of her ass, she'll find it's for the long term. Commenter 4. NTA. Your sister and your ex sounds incredibly toxic. Too much celebrity dramas have completely distorted any sense of reality they might have had. Pretending to see someone to have you fight for her? Getting mad for letting her go? Being a total about it afterwards? Nope. Screw that. My money's on the whole idea came from your sis because she wanted to have some drama, especially with the Taylor Swift example, because we all know Taylor Swift is the perfect example to follow for teen girls, and after seeing how bad she fucked up, she's doing her best to pin it on you to avoid all accountability and guilt, rather than admitting her BS and asking for forgiveness. That, or she's that entitled vain not to see how fucked up her behavior is. Also, your dad seems to be enabling her too much. Good thing your mom seems to have some common sense. Stories number 6. Last month a friend began to cross a flooded river in his car with me in it. I jumped out. Now have a letter from his lawyer asking for damages. Early in November we went to pick up car parts after work that my friend, I'll call Aaron because his name's Aaron, and I think he's being an idiot, had bought on eBay. We had to go through some back roads to get to the property and picked it up and all was well. It had been raining for part of the day but really picked up when we were loading the parts, and we got to a causeway we'd passed only an hour before, but it was now covered in what looked like half a meter of water. And we stopped. I'd been navigating and knew we could back up and take another much longer route, even though the highways was just a bit on the other side of the causeway. There was no way I'd go through the water as it looked, but because I'd been caught on a causeway 20 years ago in less water and had my car pushed off into the river, I didn't want to risk it. I didn't lose that car, but it's one of the scariest moments of my life. I said we had to turn back and could take a different road 10 kilometers around, but that would take us via a bridge over the same river. Aaron decided to push on and started moving, and I panicked and got straight out. It was far more water than I'd had to go through when I near lost my car, and life before I got out, well before the water though. So I didn't let water in the car. BTW Aaron didn't even get halfway across, and the water pushed his car off the side, rolled it completely over, and it ended up right on the bank, 50 meters downstream. He was extremely lucky not to drown, and I ran down and helped him out. Immediately, he was aggressive and combative, because he said with my weight in the car, he'd have made it across. Admittedly, I'm 130 kilo plus, but his car is a 1650 kilo Commodore wagon with a couple hundred kilo of eBay parts in the back. So it's not like I'd have made much difference. We phoned for help and the river went down within an hour and made it across the causeway by foot. We haven't spoken since and he's avoided me in places we usually go, but on Friday I received a letter from a lawyer I know is real in our town, but sounds like it was written by my friend. It's asking for $50,000 for the car and personal damages, because I made the car unsafe by getting out. It was a 1997 Commodore, maybe worth $1,500 on a good day. Someone reassure me, it's not up to me to sit in someone's car when they're doing something dumb, is it? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. So what I gather from this is, friend wants to cross river-washed road. You say it's a bad idea, he says, nah mate, I'm doing it. You get out at fear of your own safety. Friend drives in and car washes away. Your friend blames you because 130 kilo could have saved it. Yeah, that sounds like a crock of shit. I don't think you are liable for shit. However, I would consult an attorney for legal advice pertaining to this situation. You were in imminent danger and acted on it by ensuring your own safety. There is nothing wrong with that. However, do not repost responses here and show him what people say to you could be liable for reasons, or even be incriminated. Reply, yeah, that's what happened. I got carried away in a moment of salivating over internet justice. I won't say anything to him about this post. Commenter 2. Your probably ex-friend is an idiot. Hasn't he seen the, if it's flooded, forget it, adverts the blood police put out every time there's a decent amount of rain? It's unlikely that an actual solicitor would have written such a letter of demand, given how patently ridiculous the claim is, but you'll want to double-check that's actually the case by calling them direct using a number taken from their website. If they did actually write the letter, just hang tight until you're actually served with a lawsuit. Get a solicitor of your own at that point. If they didn't write it and you're feeling petty, uttering false documents is an actual criminal offense, so you could dob him into the police. Personally, I'd drop this idiot like a hot spud. Not only did they try to risk your life, they're now trying to extort money from you because they played stupid games and won a stupid prize. Commenter 3. I used to practice law in Nessus dollars. I am no longer authorized to practice there, and this cannot be relied upon as legal advice, but general advice to inform your next steps. Observe whether the letter of demand states due date, and whether they provided you with time to reply. If you do not comply with those dates, then the next step for Aaron is to follow statutory process for reissuing the letter of demand, until eventually bringing a claim to court for a debt owing. I recommend you look to NSA statute on the letter of demand process. It details the time periods and process. Do not contact the lawyer or speak to Aaron, or write or say anything to them. or other people around them, do not try to write to them about your version of events. If I was advising a client, I would instruct them to delete any Reddit post as well, as it is relevant evidence that can be used to cross-examine any written evidence you wish to provide, and may undermine your credibility as a witness. Given a formal dispute may be a he-she said situation, your reliability as a witness is important. You should retain a lawyer promptly, who will draft a response to the letter of demand, and provide you with counsel. Reply. There's no due date or info about a time to reply, just a statement that, because of my actions, their client is out a total of $50K and I need to pay it. It's like they've already found me guilty. There's nothing about court or how to pay, or when makes me think it's more likely a fakie. I won't contact Aaron about it or ask him to read over this thread. In the case I want to save myself dollars and just send a copy to the lawyers involved and say, can I get you to validate that this was sent from you? Is that likely to be a risk? Or should even that go through a lawyer and pick? I recognize that might be going beyond what you're allowed to advise. I'll probably hit up a lawyer of my own this week. Update. I went to a lawyer my parents had used a few years ago, and they recommended. She took one look at the letter from my friend Aaron's lawyers and said she has concerns about it, and she'd respond. She contacted his lawyer, and my lawyer mailed me to tell me Aaron's lawyers aren't his lawyers at all, but to contact her if I heard more otherwise. No need for more action. Aaron had apparently faked up the letter and admitted as much to me yesterday when he finally decided to talk to me. He wants me to retract my complaint to his lawyers about him using their letterhead. I hadn't complained to them myself, so I did the time-honored thing and told him to go pound sand. But it might have rhymed with go eat a bag of dicks. Stories. Number 7. Aita for laughing at my biological parents' face when they told me leaving us was the hardest decision they have made. Our family has an interesting story. My bio-mother's side and bio-father's side have 2 marriages between the families. One of them is our bio-parents, and one of them is between my bio-mom's brother, 55, and my bio-dad's sister, 54. My bio-mom, Linda, and bio-dad, Chris, actually have met in my uncle's and aunt's engagement dinner, when both of them were 16. Linda and Chris are still complete wrecks. My bio-dad was the troubled one of the family whom would have problems with school or the work. And my bio-mom has addiction issues since she is 14. When they have met and started to have a relationship, both sides of the family tried to break them up. They even sent them to different countries, but they stole $50K USD from their families, managed to come together and ran away when they were 19. They got married in a third world country and they had me 25M and my twin brother when they were 21 years old. They thought we were dead weights, so they left us in the hospital and went into another country. Luckily, they have checked into the hospital with their passports, so the hospital have reached into the embassy. Then they found my grandparents, and they brought us back home, and we have been raised by our uncle and aunt since we call them mom and dad. My parents were charged with child abandonment, but after 10 years of being MIA, the charges were dropped, and our families also didn't try to look for them years ago. They showed up at my dad's parents' house in a completely renovated look. Turns out they have finished their education, had stable jobs in the country, started to get mental health treatments, and they were sober for 9 years, and they have basically put themselves together. At first 6 months, they have only seen their parents in public places, then they were accepted into the houses. A year later, they have met with us when we were 24. Me and my twin brother started to have a relationship with them. And we are somewhat cordial, right? Now last week our abandonment topic was opened, and Linda told it was the hardest choice they have made. I started to laugh uncontrollably after that, and when they told them they had multiple choices to come back and they didn't, and our families were right not to trust them, and they would always have the eyes on them, and they should accept this at this stage. Linda started to cry and they left shortly. All of the family except my brother think I am being too cruel and I should apologize, but I think they had to hear the unfiltered truth. ATA, bio mother and father story from comments. They didn't drag themselves out. They were dragged out by other people. I don't know how or why, but a restaurant owner in Thailand really cared about them, and he started their rehab process by contacting our country and sending them back. Then it was the rehab center. After that, it was the job placement. the secondary schools, etc. They openly say they were doomed if he wasn't around. My family from both sides come from a somewhat noble lineage. So both sides have some unrealistic standards, and our parents' mental health issues didn't favor them in the family, but Chris was a trouble for the family and also for the community. He was sent into a boarding school at age 13 due to excessive troubles that he caused in the school plus home, not the classic ones. Police were called on him 7 times in a year, and Linda still says she feels empty without constant adrenaline and trouble. She still doesn't want to stay sober from drugs. She confessed this to my brother while asking for which medication to take, to substitute the feeling that cocaine gave to her. But I think she is staying sober for the job. I still don't know if Chris is 100% sober, but he is passing well, even if he is not. While reading all of this, my decision has started to get justified because I am taking notes of important stuff that people has said. I am at my paid leave period right now, so I am reading every comment you have. I will hear from them one last time, but with the evidence and the stuff I heard, I possibly won't resume contact with them. Relevant comments. Commenter 1 NTA. The thing is, they didn't even try to get you adopted. They simply abandoned you, and your brother could have simply died there. Everything turned out fine for you and your brother, but that's no thanks to them. They didn't do anything to ensure you would be okay. It was all due to the kindness of random foreign strangers. Info. Did they even knew you were alive and with their family and they came back? Reply. I think they haven't, because after we were born, both of them have pulled into a rabbit hole of drugs. My parents have worked as bartenders in multiple Asian countries, and my father also has been an actor in the porn industry. So I don't think they have any ideas about our whereabouts, and my father still works in the adult film sector. He is not an actor anymore, but as a producer. My mother is working as a head mixologist in a 3-star Michelin restaurant. Commenter. 2. The idea of a perfect family. My family has spent decades trying to get people who never got along to get along. Reply. Oh, I see. I understand the reason why my grandparents are having an eye on them, because it is their children and they failed on keeping them safe and raising them appropriately. But I don't understand why the extended family members and my mom and dad care about their feelings. Honestly, I would have said good riddance. Commenter 3 NTA. Hard decision. They birthed you and left. They had no intention of finding you again. Now that they have their life together, they want cake and to eat it too. Commenter 4. Yeah, those two fully intended on those kids never being found and probably stayed away as long as they did, because the kids were with the family. Thank goodness for the health providers at that hospital. OP and brother would probably have been lost forever otherwise. Reply. Our family has donated generous amounts of money to that hospital after that, and we have visited there twice. The doctor who has birthed us is currently the head physician of that hospital, and we still send emails back and forth. Commenter 5. Info. Is there any proof the story of how your grandparents rescued you from a foreign hospital actually happened? Reply. Plane tickets, the letter from the embassy, the photos in that hospital, the doctor's notes. We have tons of stuff. We also went to Sri Lanka twice to visit the hospital, and our grandparents made a discreet donation to the hospital. We also still send emails back and forth with the doctor who birthed us. My brother has actually decided to become a doctor due to him, and he is currently in the first year of his residency in neurology. Update. ATA for laughing at my biological parents' face when they told me leaving us was the hardest decision they have made. Some stuff happened since that post first. My bio mom and bio dad are not allowed to contact with me unless they want to go in the jail. A good friend of mine from high school is a lawyer, and he advised me to prepare a cease and desist letter. My main language is not English, but this is the closest thing that Google Translate said it in the legal terms, and he did it for me without any charges because he said, "That's what good friends do." My brother is sad that I am not even entertaining the idea of a relationship, but he says it is okay and he understands it. He just sees them from a different perspective, the same perspective that he sees the patients he is taking care of. My mother and father weren't happy about the restraining order and accused me of being cruel and heartless. They said I am being the embodiment of a demon, and they said they will cut contact with me if I ever put this plan into action. I said, "Well, consider this as our last talk then," and left their house. I am residing at my own apartment, that my grandparents gave me as a birthday present on my 18th birthday. So no worries, it is in my name and no one can touch it. We haven't spoken a word since, and I doubt this will change in the foreseeable future. My parents are too forgiving, and since childhood, I was told I am being too vindictive. This still continues from their side. My parents say I remind them of my great-grandfather who ruined people's lives just because they did small things wrong to him. I am not going to try to argue with that. My grandparents, though, they have understood my perspective and they said they will respect my boundary. But they also asked me to respect their boundary to have a relationship. I said of course, and we had an agreement. I still love them so much, and I am lucky enough to have the compassionate parental figures that can understand where I am coming from. Other extended family members have divided into two. Most of them think I am cruel, and they don't want to have a relationship with me anymore, other than being civil around each other, and some of them still want to protect the relationship we have. I can live with this. I am also back in therapy. Thanks to my brother, he arranged a session with the therapist and also an appointment with a psychiatrist in his hospital. So I am currently back in therapy and started to use antidepressants. It doesn't solve all the problems, but it helps. As it for me, my life continues. As my birth parents never showed up, I go to work and have some me time on the weekends and spend some time with my friends whenever I can find the time, and I go visit my grandparents once in every 2 weeks. They live next door to each other. Brother is my next-door neighbor, so we eat most of the dinners together when he is not on the night shifts. That nights, I mostly find a guy to spend some time with. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. So missing info, what happened that caused a cease and desist restraining order to be issued? Reply. Due to the nature of the previous case by our country's law, I can ask for a cease and desist letter. But that is not a restraining order. It is just a warning letter against them saying if you ever come close to me, I will accept that as an assault, and I will act according to that. Commenter 2. NTA. The majority of your family sounds toxic. I'm glad you're in therapy and getting the help you need. And I'm glad you have gone NC with everyone harassing you and calling you names. You are not a demon by any stretch of the imagination. You are not to blame for other people's bad behavior. And when you react to protect yourself from that behavior, you are not wrong. I'm sorry your parents and bio-parents are both ignorant and hateful. So again, what changed to cause OP to want a restraining order? Commenter 3. Reading the first post. I wondered what the family was like if the bio mom got into drugs at 14, and the bio dad had problems as a teenager too. Figured there was probably some toxicity in the first place. And after reading the rest of the family's reaction to OP not wanting anything to do with the adults who literally abandoned them in another country without even trying to contact back home, I feel firm in my stance that OP's family sucks. Reply. My family comes from somewhat a noble lineage in our country, and everything is about the looks and how we are perceived from the outside. So abandoning people who are the outcasts is an option they are familiar with. So yes, they are toxic, and the concept remittance man is a thing in our family. My bio dad and bio mom are not the innocent people here. Their parents, aka my grandparents, have pushed all the buttons to make it right, both by medical and the emotional stuff, but my bio dad is a diagnosed borderline, and my mother is type 1 bipolar, who had a really early diagnosis at age 13. I am also diagnosed with medication-resistant depression. I had TMS when I was 18 years old, so mental health disorders are genetically rampant in our family. My brother is also type 1 bipolar. Our grandparents tried to change a lot of stuff in our families, but their siblings wanted the same stuff to continue, so it didn't work. But they have raised me and my brother according to their ethical codes, so they are the ones we are looking up to. Our parents, unfortunately, were heavily influenced by their aunts and uncles. Commenter 4. NTA. Wow. Your adopted parents cut you off because you were too vindictive, cutting contact with your bio parents who abandoned you? Talk about the pot calling the kettle black. While I think it is totally reasonable for them and for your brother to accept your bio parents back into your lives, it is equally as reasonable for you to want nothing to do with people who abandoned you at birth in a third world country. Stick to your guns and enjoy your life without them. Stories number 8. My husband being the victim of revenge porn has destroyed our marriage. My F29 husband M30 has been the victim of revenge porn images of him, where were sent to our family and friends, and even some of my husband's colleagues. At first my husband told they were old images from before we met, but some of them were taken in our flat, the flat we moved into together. Afterward he admitted the images are recent. He met a woman on an online dating app, and he said after they exchanged photos she began extorting him. He's been paying her from our savings account behind my back. He paid her $5,500. Once he had no more to give, she went through with her threat and released the photos. It has been devastating going through the fallout from this. Not just that my husband was on a dating app, but that he gave her everything we had saved and now we have nothing. The police say whoever extorted him isn't even in this country. He swears he never met anyone in person or cheated on me. We have been married for 2 years and together for 4. We were saving for a down payment, and now we have nothing. Nearly everyone we know now knows my husband was on a dating app exchanging photos with another woman. This has destroyed me. I'm so ashamed. My confession is that I can't stay after this. I just had to tell someone. Comments. Commenter 1. It's his shame, not yours. Remember that. Commenter 2. He absolutely cheated. He wouldn't have been on dating apps in the first place if he weren't. Commenter 3. Because you used pounds. I assume you're in the UK. I'm pretty sure there are revenge porn laws there. Look into filing a police report for the photos and the blackmail. Then look into a divorce lawyer. He was cheating. Also, if you contributed to that fund, somebody owes you the money back. Her or him doesn't matter. But get that money back. Commenter 4. The title should not be, "He's a victim of revenge porn." It should be, "My husband ruined our marriage by cheating on me and stole all our life savings to save his own ass. You are in complete reason to leave." Stories number 9. He said he wants to have a baby with me. All of his friends are having babies, and he thinks my standards are unrealistic because I want a nice ring, wedding and honeymoon first. I am 30 and he just turned 31. He says he loves me, but I honestly feel like a placeholder. Recently he complained that all his female friends are having babies with their partners, even if their partners are not financially stable, and they're not in perfect places. He always talk about his one female friend from grad school who had a baby with her husband, who is deployed, and he doesn't even help out with the child care because he's out of town. She's the breadwinner of the family too because she makes way more than him, and she was the one who bought their home. Then he said to me and said, I should be open to having a baby with him because I have a house. I have flexibility at my job for pregnancy right now, and he finally has a full-time job. He does make more than me. I was like, what? These women are married to their partners. I do not want to just have a baby out of wedlock. When I pushed back, he said my standards are too high because I want an engagement ring, a real wedding, and a honeymoon. His excuse is that his rent is a lot. He is still making strides in his career, and he has a lot of student loans. I cannot shake the feeling that he just wants to settle with whoever is convenient. Am I overreacting for thinking about never talking to him again because the audacity alone makes me think he's a bad person? Comments. Commenter 1. Wanting to be married before having a kid is the most reasonable requirement. I am actually shocked by what he is saying. He can't afford a ring and wedding but can afford a baby? That makes absolutely no sense. Forget finances for a minute. He gave the example of his friend whose husband is in the military and takes care of the baby by herself, as an example. So, he thinks the idea of having a baby where the mom takes care of all the responsibilities as a dream scenario. Marriage builds the foundation for a couple. To have a child is a way larger commitment than marriage. So if he can't commit to marriage, what makes you think he'll commit to being a father? He can't commit to saving up for a wedding but will commit to having a child and taking care of it financially? His logic makes no sense and is riddled with selfishness. A baby is not a pet. It doesn't matter that his female friends are having kids. That has nothing to do with your relationship. If he wants kids, he should be willing to put in the effort to save up and get married first. And the fact that he's dismissing you as having too high of standards is enraging. Reply. He called me high maintenance, and I was so angry. Commenter 2. He may not be a bad person, But he sounds like a bad boyfriend to me. It sounds like he could be trying to baby trap you. Some men don't really want you, but they strangely don't want other men to want you either. So they stealthily convince you to have a baby with them out of wedlock, or with no clear path for getting married in the future. They think this lowers your availability and desirability when it comes to future relationships with any other man. I don't understand this mentality, but some say it stems from some deep-seated feelings of inferiority and resentment from the man towards his partner. Perhaps he knows you're out of his league, or on a better career or financial trajectory. Who knows? The bottom line is, don't fall for whatever he's trying to get you to do. Intentionally having a child out of wedlock, IMHO, is a precarious choice to make. Wait to have a child with a man who wants to do it after getting married if that's what your heart and mind want. You aren't asking for too much, reply. Thanks, I get that feeling too. And I dislike being called materialistic for wanting a ring and honeymoon first, commenter 3. He say you have too much standards because of money, or because he want a baby without the struggles. The example of his female friend who is the married single mother as a goal girl is sending me, he wants you to want his child without him being a partner and a dad? Marriage or not, this is concerning, reply. He just always praises her and says she's a rock star because she has a high-paying job and has a baby and is doing it alone because her husband is in the military, and her parents bought them a house when she got pregnant, commenter 4. His reasons don't seem valid to me. My female friends are having babies. We should have a baby you. No, I want to do it by the book. Ring, wedding, honeymoon. Him, your standards are too high, WTF. Have you realized that he wants for you the exact same life as his female friend? Husband is not there, she's the breadwinner and the one who bought the house. And you can have a baby because you have a house. Flexibility, interestingly. He doesn't want the whole wedding because his rent is a lot. He is still making strides in his career, and he has a lot of student loans. But having a baby is great with all of that? To me, this is a total lack of common sense, and I wouldn't be with a person like that. But what catches my eye is that you think he's a bad person. So what other things have happened that make you believe he's not incredibly stupid but bad? Reply. He talks a lot about this friend whose husband is deployed. My family is also concerned about me getting older and potentially not being able to have kids later in life. If he had said this to me 5 years ago, I would have laughed in his face. Stories number 10. My 24. Husband 26M left me passed out on the floor while sick, and then got mad at me the next morning. I see him different now. We've been married for a few years and have a baby. We had relationship issues after the baby, but I thought we had resolved them, and he promised he would be better. And all that. He did get better. He did his share around the house, and house chores aren't a big issue because he just does what needs to be done without complaint or comment, but something at the back of my head felt off. I never really explored the nagging feeling, but now I realize that he never showed me any extra care. In fact, he gets upset or easily frustrated with me if I cause any extra inconvenience. Not sure how I didn't notice until now, so 2 days ago, I think I got sick. I was feeling that gross thick skin feeling and vertigo, lightheaded, IDK, and by nighttime I was shivering and freezing. I was still able to function, so I didn't think much of it. Complained to my husband about it, and then we went to sleep yesterday. I woke up feeling like my bones were lead, IDK, how I functioned yesterday. But it felt like autopilot. My boss messaged me with some tasks, so I did them on my phone before my baby woke up. Rolled out of bed and somehow took my sister to school. Came back and worked some more. Usually I have energy to flip between being a mom and working, but yesterday I just laid on the floor to work while my 1-year-old watched some Mims Rachel. Then had to pick up my sister from school, come home to make dinner, and by the time my husband came home, I felt dead on my feet. Anytime I moved, it felt like I was lagging and my body couldn't keep up. I told my husband this a few times. We ate. I put away the leftovers and put the baby to sleep, while my husband went to his office to do some quick work after this. I don't really remember because my brain was foggy. I found myself in his office. We exchanged a few words, but I don't remember what. And next thing I knew, I woke up alone in his office on the floor. I felt so heavy and out of it. It took so much effort to get up, but when I got out, all the lights were off. The kitchen was not touched, and he was in bed. I just stood in the kitchen and realized that he just doesn't care. I already knew he wasn't going to clean the kitchen tomorrow, and that he didn't care. I felt off. I had a busy day planned, and I didn't have time to wash all the dishes the next day. So I loaded the dishwasher and then went to bed. I laid down, and 5 minutes later, my husband very angrily told me to turn off the lights in the kitchen. At this point I had no energy to deal with him, so I ignored him and fell asleep. The next morning, today I woke up covered in sweat, but that gross feeling was gone. That's when I realized that I was sick. My husband was upset with me. He wouldn't talk or look at me, and was stomping around. I tried to ask him about yesterday, but he just grumbled something about me. Confusing him, everything from yesterday caught up, and I just can't see him the same. I realized that he has never taken care of me, or done anything that was inconvenient for him. I've been sick before, and every time it's the same thing. He gets upset at me somehow. After I had a baby, he was upset that nothing was kept up around the house, yet got angry with me when I fainted from overexertion at 2 weeks postpartum. I remember him yelling at me that I did this to myself, and it's my fault for not taking care of myself, even though just 2 days before, he was telling me that he was angry with me for not keeping up with laundry and that I needed to clean the kitchen because it was starting to smell and he didn't want to cook anymore. Don't even get me started on how he never woke up at night. All these memories hit me and I just am disgusted by him. How did I not see this? What do I even do? I'm going to stop here before the post gets too long. Edit. He just texted me saying he's beat and could barely brush his teeth this morning. I don't even know what to respond. I can't believe I took care of this man every time he got sick and after 2 surgeries. Comments. Commenter 1. Wait, you passed out in front of him and he just left you laying on the floor? I'm usually a work on things advice giver, but not here. Get a lawyer and figure out how to get out of there. Reply. That's the part I'm a little confused about. I have no idea what happened. I've only fainted once before, so I wonder if I just laid on the floor. He wouldn't talk to me this morning, and I kind of don't care to find out because it doesn't really matter. He left me there anyway. Commenter 2. You didn't leave the room, he did. That means at some point, you were laying on the floor and he walked out and left you there and just went to bed. Commenter 3. He sounds like he wants a mother, not a partner. Don't wait around or try to fix his behavior. He won't change, I can guarantee it. Please leave this man. Your child doesn't need to grow up thinking it's okay to be treated this way, or to treat people this way. Sending you a lot of love. Please be brave. Life will be so much better without him dragging you back. Commenter 4. Girl, you are in danger. You passed out and don't even remember what happened. You literally could have died there. Losing consciousness for a longer period of time is highly concerning. Again, you could have died, and your husband did not only refuse to call an ambulance, he actively ignored you in a dire condition, and that would be the best case. Worst case would be that he actively did something to cause this. You have no memory after all. This is too dangerous to talk it out. Please, get your kid and some belongings and leave. Go to your parents, friends, or a women's shelter. Get checked out by a doctor. Ask them if your fainting could be due to trauma. And most important, don't tell him that you are leaving. Pregnant women and women who just gave birth are at the highest risk of getting killed by their partners. He already showed you that he wouldn't care if you died. No sane person leaves someone unconscious on the floor. Stories number 11. An open letter to the rudest MOH I've personally encountered at a family wedding. I'm sorry if our family home didn't meet your expectations of what a wedding venue should be. You see, this wasn't a venue. It was the house where my parents still live. My cousins and I have celebrated milestones, where my kids grew up, where my brother still comes on Sundays to do his laundry and have a home-cooked meal, where my grandkids now play, and where 4 generations gather for holidays, laughter, and loss for over 3 decades. It is where we watched the sun set behind a 40-foot-tall, 250-foot-wide cedar tree line through every season of life. The couple chose this space because it is sacred to the groom, our cousin, not because it came with a ballroom package and a concierge. I'm sorry if the decorations looked homemade. That's because they were our cousins burned their fingers on hot glue guns, stained their shirts with paint, bent over tables, and stood on ladders until their backs ached, all because they loved the couple. The porch you stood on? Repainted by family to match the wedding's colors. The garden you dismissed? Hand-weeded and watered daily by my 71-year-old mother. The acre of land you stood upon? mowed faithfully every 2 weeks by my nearly 80-year-old father, and an extra time just for the wedding. I'm sorry if the food wasn't plated like a banquet. That's because it was cooked in our kitchens, seasoned with family recipes, and served with care. I'm sorry if the air conditioning struggled, or if the bathrooms were too few, or if the mosquitoes did not respect your presence. This is Texas in September. Even the dragonflies refuse to be managed. We stretched a home built for 5 to host 100, and did so gladly. And yes, the DJ played a few boleros and cumbias, despite your protests. He wasn't hired by you, nor was he meant to satisfy your Spotify preferences. This was a family celebration. And in our culture, music is not background noise, it is memory and inheritance. When you wrinkled your nose at it, you weren't critiquing a playlist, you were dismissing an entire lineage of joy. It did not go unnoticed that you arrived just in time for the bachelorette party planned and paid for by the mother of the groom, my cousin, but only saw the venue for the first time the day before the wedding, when your contribution was not gratitude or help, but critique. So when you argued with me about the location of the sun for the ceremony and photos, you might have done well to take a seat, because I've been watching that light change in this yard for a lifetime of evenings, not 20 minutes. What you may not understand is that everything you found wanting was done freely, out of love and with nothing asked in return. We didn't need your Yelp-style review, your grumbling about the heat, your disdain for the decor, or your endless complaints about the sun. Shut up about the sun. What we did need, when we opened our doors and our hearts, was a little grace, a little gratitude, a little respect for the family who gave all they had, so the bride you supposedly stood for could feel cherished and welcomed. And she did. Our family isn't rich in money, but we are abundant in loyalty, sacrifice, and love. We welcome newcomers with open arms. But when someone sits in my mother's chair, beneath the trees my father still mows under each week, and treats it all as though it isn't good enough, we notice, and trust me, we don't forget, with compassion and conviction. Your friend's new family and in-laws. PSO. And thank you kindly for walking off with every single strip of fashion tape I brought to be shared by the bridal party. Did you really need all 100 strips? Is that what it took to hold your audacity in place all evening? Comments. Commenter. Now that woman has what my late abuela would call sangre de chinche, apestosa, stinkbug blood. Reply. I love it. And your abuela? My grandchildren's abuela calls it panocha podrida vibes. Commenter. 2. I read that in Julia Sugarbaker's voice in my head. OP. You are a terrific writer, and have a lovely family. Reply. I just reread it in her voice and realized that despite my voice sounding more like Ava Longoria, I realized it could sound like someone crossed the Sugarbaker family. Thank you for the compliment. Commenter 3. Well said. And to say I am a bit envious of the love and loyalty your family has. Well, it's petty of me, but it is also with joy for your family. I'm sorry you had the need to write this, and hopefully that Texas sun gave her a massive sunburn. Commenter 4. I've been to a handful of backyard weddings and plenty of glamorous venue weddings. The backyard weddings were all so intimate and joyful. The other fancy ones were great too, but a family coming together to celebrate a couple starting their life together is very special. Stories number 12. Aita for asking mail for house key back. I'll make this short. My partner's parents have a key to our house for emergency situations only. I've recently had a baby 3 weeks postpartum, and MIL just keeps coming over and letting herself in. Usually when I'm relaxing in bed with my baby, I finally snapped yesterday. My partner is back in work now. I went for a sleep. Baby was asleep next to me in the crib. Mill had let herself in once again, snuck upstairs, took my baby out of the crib and took him downstairs while I slept. I ended up waking up in a total panic a couple of hours later, because he'd usually cry for a feed, which wakes me. I breastfeed. I leaned over and saw he wasn't there, and completely freaked out. I rushed downstairs where I saw the living room door closed and heard him crying. I threw open the door, and my MIL was just sat there with him. She casually smiled and said, "Someone's grumpy today." And I was like, "He's not grumpy. He should have had his feed over an hour ago." I took him from her and headed back upstairs. She tried to follow, and I just snapped and asked her to leave. She looked at me all confused and irritated, and before she could say anything, I just said, "Please, put our house key on the side table and leave." She did, And later that day she must have rang my partner while he was at work. Because when he got home he brought it up. He wasn't mad though. And he did understand, which was a relief. But he did say his mom is really upset. I just responded with, "She can't just show up here and let herself in." "It's pissing me off," he said. "I know, I get it. I do just know she doesn't mean any harm. But I agree with you." I told him the fact she doesn't mean any harm is not the point. It's intrusive. And I don't care that she's upset right now. Comments. Commenter 1. She may not mean harm, but it causes it. It's intrusive and invasive of our privacy, and frankly I find it incredibly disrespectful of our lives as adults, parents, and a married couple. NTA commenter 2. You're definitely NTA. I'd change the locks because you'll never know if she made copies of your keys or not. Make sure your husband starts setting clear boundaries with his mom. Commenter 3. Intent doesn't trump the actual outcome. She overstepped, exercised zero self-control or worse, felt entitled to behave that way. She should be upset. She should be upset that she upset a freshly postpartum mother and make her panic when she couldn't find her baby. That's a terrible thing to do to a new mother. I wouldn't ever apologize for what I said to her either. You wasn't rude and she was an uninvited intruder. At that point NTA, and don't let anyone make you doubt it. Commenter 4. My advice, don't ask for the key back. Simply change the lock and tell your husband that his mother way overstepped here. The key was given for emergencies only, and that wasn't an emergency, so she has shown that she can't be trusted. You've arranged for the locks to be changed. He gets a key. If you need a spare key, you have a key lockbox that you'll change the combination of and only give it to your husband if she manages to get access to your home again. Knowing that you've only given the key to your husband and given him the code to the lockbox, you'll know that he is the issue here. Get those locks changed today and don't wait. When she tries to access the house using her key, she won't be able to, and your husband will have to man up and tell her why, without throwing you under the bus while he does it. Forgot to say, NTA Stories number 13, AETA calling my mom's fiancé a creep, M17. We had been going through pretty rough months in my family. There was tension between my mom and dad. They weren't talking to each other, and when they did, it was only to fight after months of constant fighting. They decided to get divorced. That was 2 years ago, and NGL, when they divorced, the one who suffered the most was my dad. He never put on a sad face when he was with us, but I could hear him cry in his room when he thought we were asleep. For the record, I am the youngest and I have a brother 19M and a sister 20F. After this, the fighting didn't stop, so now they fight for which of us loves them more. If I am honest, my siblings and I are inclined with my dad. He has always taken good care of us, helps us through everything, and he listens to us, not like my mom. She has never been there. There have always been more important things to attend to or pay attention to rather than us. I never mind it since my dad was always there. My mom is a pretty important lawyer in our city. Meanwhile, my dad has a PhD in physics and works as a college professor. After their divorce, we stayed with my dad. We see my mom like 1 day per week, and only if she has time. We kinda never see her because she always reschedules. So months ago, my mom told us she was going to get married to this dude who we had never seen. His name is Richard, but asked us to call him Rick. She said we all should get along. Since then it has been a nightmare. Don't get me wrong, he is cool, I guess, but I do find him a bit odd. He always tries to spend his time with me and buys me stuff like clothes, books, etc. He even asks me when I'm available, so we can have dinner. I mean, I'm polite towards him, but I just can't connect with him. I feel like it's a forced relationship, and he is not like that with my other siblings. Well, my dad too. He is civil towards him, but there's def tension between them. Last week, my brother wanted to try a new recipe. He loves cooking, so he invited my mom and Rick at first. We were surprised my mom and dad kept civil with each other. We were having a nice conversation, but Rick kept complimenting us, specifically me, that I was an incredible person, very smart, blah, blah. My dad agreed, but this dude kept insisting we were so much alike, and that by spending so much time with him, he considers me already his son. That def hurt my dad, and I just lose it. I told him to leave me alone. He was being a creep. My dad told me to not call Rick names, and my mom did too. She told me that I was being a brat and that should behave cause Rick will be part of my family and another parental figure to me. I said he wouldn't and that I won't go to her wedding if she marries a creep like him. I stormed off and went to my room. My siblings don't think I am in the wrong here, but my mom insists I was a spoiled brat and I should apologize to Rick. Aita. Note: damn, I only came here to find out if I was in the wrong. I just don't know what to say to you. I added the quotation marks to be sarcastic since I don't think we look so alike, as he says. Now you really have me worried and wondering. Note 2. So I didn't want to address this with my dad right away, so I consulted Anne first, my sis. She is the most intelligent person I know, so I asked her. She had the same feeling as me, that Rick was getting way too close to me, and in comparison to her, he is stone cold. Now every time Rick wants to spend time with me, they'll be there too. Anne and Leo, my brother. And just like you guys, she asked me to talk to my dad. I did. I sat with my dad and told him about everything. That I didn't feel comfortable around Rick anymore. I appreciated all the effort, but he was pushing way too hard my boundaries. And like you advised, if mom doesn't understand, she can't force a relationship with an actual stranger on me, then I'd rather stop seeing her. My dad understood. He asked me to forgive him for not knowing my feelings. Toward Rick, he did say that Rick is trying the best he can to get to know each one of us, but he has no say on when we should open up or act like a stalker. He said he'll talk to them, but I told him I'd rather do it. Since mom may act like I am not being serious or worse, we'll have dinner with them, Anne, Leo, and I next Wednesday, so wish me luck. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Info. How long has your mom known Richard? Could he be your bio dad from a previous affair? Reply. Damn, I don't know. When we met, they never mentioned it, and we never asked since we simply didn't care. I guess it has to be more than 10 months, 'cause that's the time they've been engaged. Commenter 2. Info. Any particular reason why Rick wants to spend more time with you? Reply. Not that I know of. He's just there, constantly wanting to be with me. That's why I called him creep. Commenter 3. How often does he try to contact you? Considering you only ever see your mom once a week max, if she can be bothered? Reply. Well, at first we only saw my mom at least one day, as I said. Now it's like 2 or 3 days per week for bonding. He doesn't know my number, and nor does my mom. If she wants to see us, she talks to my dad, so I wouldn't know if he has tried to call me or sent me a text. Commenter 4. Nah, if anyone, it's the mom for being too busy to handle this correctly and forcing it instead. Do think you owe Rick an apology, because you are redirecting your anger at your mom towards him. Seems like a decent guy from this little information. Commenter 5. I vote NTA. Rick sounds pushy at best. Lavishing praise on you, he's scoring points with mom. But why not all her kids? Is mom okay with you being special and your siblings chopped liver? Has she always viewed you as special to the detriment of your brother and sister? Or is the favoritism new? To say that crap in front of your dad was calculated and rude. Mom sounds like she supports the behavior, if not encouraging it. You don't have to like being singled out. You don't have to support mom marrying someone you don't like. If he creeps you out, trust your gut. You do have every right to not want this done to you. I would recommend in future not going full throttle at the start, i.e. saying I'm uncomfortable. And if you continue to be disrespected, creep is then perfectly acceptable because your boundaries are being tested. Discuss this with your dad. You says he listens. Be specific. Give examples of what's being done that makes you uncomfortable. Dad can then more easily understand and support and protect you. This goes for your brother and sister. 2. I say this all as a parent of 18 to 25-year-olds. I'm sorry your mom doesn't support you and seems to never really have. I am incredibly glad your dad does. Same for your siblings. Those sound like good, healthy relationships. I wish you all the best. Update. Aita for calling my mom's fiancé a creep. Hi, so this has been a wild week and I wanted to thank your comments and suggestions. They helped me through this. As I said in my last edit, we went to dinner at first. Everything was silent, but then Anne broke the ice by thanking my mom and Rick for spending time with us and that we should discuss important matters. I didn't know about this, but my mom has been awful to Anne and Leo. This week they addressed that if she wants us to be part of her life, then some changes should be made. After they established their points, it was my turn. I started by stating Rick's presence has been bothering me since day one. Even if I should have said something about it, didn't justify his behavior, I appreciate the effort. But he has crossed my boundaries, and even if I am willing to have a relationship as friends with him, I'd not offer that option anymore if he continues this way. Also, I'll soon be an adult, so I don't need a parental figure, I already have one. Then pointed out that my mom was allowing this kind of behavior, and it is wrong if she is not willing to act as a parent and understand my feelings, not only mine but my siblings too. Then we'd rather cut our losses. My mom tried to justify her actions. Rick told her to shut up and listen to us. She stormed out of the restaurant, but he stayed. He looked sad and apologized for all this. He didn't mean for this to happen. He asked Anne and Leo if they could give us some space so he and I could talk. Leo grabbed me, but Anne gave him a look, so he let go of me and went to a close table. Rick apologized again, saying he is not like that, and the feeling he might not connect with me took out the best on him, then told me he is my bio dad. My mom was supposed to tell me today, but she cowardly left. He doesn't expect me to accept him in my life, but if ever want to know him or need anything, he'll always be there. When we came back home, I asked my dad. He hugged me and told me everything he knew about it. The thing is, they don't know. The reason my parents divorced was because my mom cheated on him, and after she broke up with Rick, she was pregnant with me. My dad suspected it, but never confirmed it. When they divorced, my mom out of rage told him I wasn't his son. Then Rick contacted him to talk about it. He told me, however, I feel it's okay. I shouldn't feel pressured to act in a certain way. If I want to get tested, he'll help me. And no matter what that paper says, his love for me won't change. I'll always be his son. I'm not sure how to feel, but I asked Rick to give me space so I could think about all of this. Also asked my dad if we could just simply be out of our mom's life. I don't want to be involved with her, and neither my siblings. If I am honest, I don't know if I ever want to get tested, or the least allow Rick to be part of my life. But I feel grateful for the family I have, and all the support and love my dad and siblings have been giving to me. That's all I have for you, Edit. Hi. Thank you for all your comments and even the funny ones. Y'all made me smile, and I guess I needed that. I really liked the Mary Poppins one, and the references to Guardians of the Galaxy. I can't express how y'all have helped me to appreciate the family I already have, and how blood not equals family. Thank you again for that. I wish had answers for your questions related to the reason of my existence. As I said, I haven't talked to Rick since that night, and I guess I didn't have the courage to ask. This whole thing has drained me, and I am not sure if I even want to know. Guess that I'll only make things worse. My perception I have of my mom as if it wasn't as bad as it is now, and also in terms of Rick, if she lied to him or not, or why he neglected me for years. For the moment, I don't want to know. I don't think it will add something meaningful to me. So I guess I'd leave it like that for now. One thing I may be doing, it's getting tested, to have a complete medical record. So thank you again for your comments. They really have impacted me. Some made me cry, happy tears. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, info. Did he know you were his son all this time? How does he explain abandoning you all this time? And if not, how can he be with your mother after she did this? You dad sounds incredible. I'm so glad for him he is free of your mother. He sounds like a great man, and deserves so much more, as do you. Reply, IDK. The last time we talked was that night. He mostly talked about how sorry he was, and how we would like to know me. That's when I told him I needed time to think. Being honest, I was dizzy and I couldn't say or think more than that. And right. I am not sure if I even want to ask that kind of questions. Commenter 2. DNA doesn't define a parent. No matter if you are raised by 2 women, 2 men, 1 man, 1 woman, or 1 parent that is not yours biologically. Your dad was here to take care of you even if he knew there was a risk you wouldn't be his. He never let you feel it, never treated you differently. He was there for your good and bad times. When you were fussy, when you were sick, when you were sad, changed your diapers, and scolded you when you were out of the line. He will be the one who will help you doing your groom's speech at your wedding, and one day will tell how naughty you were to your kids when you will try to forbidden them the things you wanted to do yourself at their age. He seems to be an incredible man, and good dads are rare diamonds we need to protect. Rick is a victim if he didn't know your mother was married, but you don't owe him anything. And I wouldn't trust your mother not to try to push you into a relation with Rick if one day you reconnect. Save yourself, and protect this amazing circle you have if Rick isn't the guy who worth to break it. Your loved, NTA. Reply. Damn, I cried with this one. Thank you so much. TT Commenter 3. Thanks for the update. That must be a complete headfuck for you. I don't know what else to say other than wish you luck. I would love to give you some sound advice, but this is way off the map for me. Anyway, best wishes from an internet stranger. Commenter 4. If nothing else, OP, it seems like your dad's a really good guy, who's going to be there for you however things shake. Out with Ricky. Get that Rick wants to connect with you because he thinks he's your bio dad, which is a lot less creepy than what it could have been. But that doesn't make him a good person. He's still the kind of guy who'd have an affair with your mom while she was married to your dad. Just be careful. Stories number 14. AIO for rethinking my engagement after my partner punched a hole in our door. So I 23F have been engaged to my fiancé 28M for a little over a year. We got into a fight the other night that honestly scared me more than I ever thought it would. We were arguing about something small that escalated way too quickly. He ended up backing me into the hallway near our bedroom and started yelling inches from my face. I told him this wasn't okay, that I needed some space, and I said I was going to stay at my sister's place for the night. As soon as I tried to walk past him, he punched straight through the closet door, hard enough to leave a massive hole. He said I was giving up on us and that running away wouldn't fix anything. I still left because I didn't feel safe. The next morning I came back, and he tried to downplay it by saying, "At least I didn't hit you." But honestly, that doesn't make me feel better. I've never seen him this angry before, and now I can't shake the feeling that this was a huge red flag. I keep thinking, if this is how he reacts to one heated argument, what happens the next time we fight about something more serious? I've always believed in working through problems, but violence, even if it's just against a door, makes me feel like I don't know who I'm with anymore. Am I overreacting for thinking about ending the engagement over this? Or is it justified to see this as a deal breaker? Comments. Commenter. What he actually meant is, at least I didn't hit you this time. He's showing his hand. Please leave before you get married, and it becomes even harder. Please be careful though, because you do not know what he is capable of. And the missed punch came directly after you said you were leaving. He is very likely going to crash out in unpredictable ways when you actually leave him. If you don't have the support or resources to leave quickly, start plotting now. Start saving in a separate account or hide cash really well. If you have friends and family you trust, you need to tell them for support and also to keep you accountable from going back. If you can leave quickly and have someplace to stay, do not tell him until you are leaving. Or at the very least, do not be alone in your place with him at all until you move after you tell him. It might even be easiest to pack and leave one day while he's out of the house. You do not owe him explanations or kindness. You need to keep yourself safe. Commenter 2. You're not overreacting. Punching a hole in the wall door during an argument is a classic escalation of anger and intimidation. It's not, at least he didn't hit you. It's, he showed you how close he is to crossing that line. You told him you needed space and he trapped you, then used violence right next to you. That's not just losing his temper, it's threatening behavior. You'd be right to treat this as a massive red flag and a deal breaker. People who do this often minimize it after the fact. But the reality is it's scary because it is scary. You deserve to feel safe with your partner, and if he can't control himself in a fight without resorting to violence, it's only a matter of time before it escalates. Trust your gut, it's telling you the truth. Commenter 3. At least I didn't bruise you. At least I didn't break your skin. At least it didn't need the hospital. At least it didn't need stitches. At least you didn't die. This shit escalates quickly. Your life is not worth hanging around with someone who has that attitude to find out what his next, at least, moment is. Pack up. Move on and focus on your happiness and well-being. Every argument you have or disagreement from here on, you'll always remember this one and wonder when it'll get worse. It's not an if, it is a when. Hope you're okay and can make a good decision, even if it is the hard one. Commenter 4. Nor your instincts are right on. You got out when you felt unsafe, and you're acknowledging that his behavior is not normal for a couple having an argument. Do what you know you have to do and get out. Since he's shown signs of violence, move out when he's not home, or bring your sister or a friend, ideally do both, being someone, and go when he's at work. Update. AIO for rethinking my engagement after my fiancé punched a hole in the door. Hi everyone. I wanted to give an update since my last post got way more responses than I expected. I really appreciate all the advice and different perspectives. It honestly gave me the clarity I needed after reading through the comments. I realized how many of you pointed out that this was violence, even if it wasn't directed at me physically. That really stuck with me. I had been trying to convince myself it wasn't that bad, because he didn't hit me. But the truth is, I didn't feel safe. And that should have been enough. I sat down with him tried to talk calmly about what happened. He kept saying things like, "I just lost control, it'll never happen again." But when I pressed him on why he thought it was okay in the moment, he got defensive and turned it back on me, saying I triggered him by threatening to leave. That was the final straw for me. I packed up some things and I'm staying with my sister for now. It's been hard, but I already feel lighter not having to constantly justify behavior that made me uncomfortable. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I deserve to feel safe in my own home and in my relationship. Thank you all for pushing me to really reflect, instead of minimizing what happened. Comments. Commenter 1. I'm glad you're safe, but just be mindful. He may try to love bomb you to win you back. He'll promise you he'll change. He'll go to therapy. Don't believe him. He'll only change enough to make you think he's all better now, and you'll still be in danger. Even if he actually does go to therapy, you can't trust that anything has changed and that he actually put in the work and didn't just go to a handful of sessions to learn some buzzwords to make you think he's changed. Have zero contact with him going forward if possible. If it's not, all communications should be through texts. And always bring someone with you if you have to meet him or go back to his place. If you have to go to his place, have the police come with you? Call the non-emergency number and explain the situation. They'll have a couple officer meet you there and keep an eye on things. Commenter 2. You absolutely did the right thing. The big key here is, even after he calmed down, he didn't say, "This is a serious problem. I need to get professional help for it." Then start anger management therapy. At least that might be worth sticking it out, and postponing the wedding for a few years to see if it sticks. And leaving if it does not. You're threatening to leave was his rationalization for punching a hole in a door, and he got defensive over it. That's an unrepentant abuser. Commenter 3. You made the right choice for your safety and sanity in an incredibly difficult situation while taking time to reflect. Give yourself some massive kudos. You showed clarity and courage many are unable to conjure. May your resilience shine brightly and light your way as you continue along your path. Commenter 4. Good for you, so you triggered him by threatening to leave. Boo fucking who? You aren't enslaved to the man. You can do what you want with your life. You don't feel safe in your own home? Time to get out of there. He doesn't get a vote. Stories number 15. Aita for what I said to my stepsister after she read my private journals. Hey, I made this account just for this cause. I'm always seeing these posts and I really don't want to ask this on Twitter, Instagram where my close friends could see. It's embarrassing to meso. My mom died 5 years ago when I was 12. My dad remarried about 3 years ago. His new wife, Stacy, came with a daughter who's now 12. I'm 17. Stacy looks like she tried to be a model in a small town catalog once and never got over it. She's loud, but honestly, I just stay out of her way. I don't have a close relationship with her daughter either cause she's basically her mini-me. As for my dad, he has always been a keep the peace kind of guy. Even when my mom was alive, he just hates any kind of confrontation. So he lets people walk all over him, which means he lets Stacy and her daughter do whatever the fuck they want. So yeah, we don't feel like a family at all. Anyway, after my mom died, I started journaling. It's the one thing that helped. At first I was just writing letters to her, telling her about school and how much I missed her now. It's just where I put everything. How much I can't stand Stacy. Dumb shit happening at school. The fact I have a massive crush on this girl in my chem class. They're literally my brain on paper and I keep them in my desk drawer. Never out in the open. So I got home around 3 days ago and I hear laughing coming from my room. I open the door and my stepsister and her friend are on my floor with my journals spread out around them. She was reading them out loud in a stupid, mocking voice. She was reading a part about how I was having a bad day and just wanted to talk to my mom. They were laughing their asses off. Then she flipped to a part about my crush and was like, she likes girls. I really don't even remember what I said, 'cause I just started screaming at them to get the fuck out of my room. My dad and Stacy ran in 'cause her friend started screaming literally. She was too loud, acting as if I was gonna kill them or something. And my stepsister immediately started crying, saying they were just joking and that I was being crazy. My dad just tells me I'm overreacting and that she's just a kid and she didn't mean any harm, that I'm basically an adult and stuff. Literally before I could even explain myself, he already took her side. Then he told me I shouldn't have left my journals where she could find them. I was so pissed I looked at him and said something like, "Of course you'd say that. You haven't given a shit about me or mom since they moved in." Then I turned to my stepsister and said, "Don't ever talk to me again." "You're so fucking weird and disgusting," Stacy gasped and dragged her sobbing daughter out of the room. My dad just looked at me with this disappointed face and walked out. It's been dead silent in the house ever since. They're all acting like I'm this huge monster who needs to apologize and kinda giving me the cold shoulder. Lol, I know what I said was mean, but I feel like she crossed a line that you can't come back from. Aita. Comments. Commenter 1 NTA. Your dad is your only parent left, and if he's not going to stick up for you, you don't have any choice but to do it yourself. Is what you said a little mean? Yeah, will it get your point across? Also, yes, therapy could help you guys as a family, but everyone has to want to participate. Commenter 2 I'm sorry you had to experience that. NTA. In my book, stepsister had no business reading your journals or sharing them with a stranger. Your family has no apparent understanding of privacy or respect for boundaries. Tell your father you want family counseling and respect for your personal boundaries. If he doesn't agree, perhaps you can talk to a school counselor. You have less than a year before you are an adult and can legally move out. So start collecting important documents, like birth certificate, social security card, and any other documents to take with you that might help you with school or employment. Do you have any grandparents or maternal relatives you can reach out to? If so, you may be able to store your private things with them to keep them safe. Commenter 3. Go to your nearest hardware store and get a lock for your room. If you're not allowed, get a chest or a lock for your wardrobe and keep your journals in there. If your dad throws a fit about that, remind him that he told you to keep your journals where the bratty stepsister can't find them, and apparently your closed drawers in your desk. Inside your room, where she has no business being, isn't far enough out of her reach that she can't find them, so you have to take more care of keeping her out. As per his instructions, focus on school, try to get a scholarship to a college fair far away. Commenter 4 NTA. Your dad failed you big time. No reason to apologize to the little brat. She hasn't apologized to you. I don't even think your words were harsh. Believe me, I could come up with a lot more harsh and pointed. Just stay silent. Live in your room. Focus hard on school. Make plans for how to get out when you're 18. Do you have a job? Get one. Save every penny. Somewhere the brat and your father and his wife can't get to. Find your birth certificate and social security card. You'll need them. Do you know what gray rocking is? Do that moving forward until you can get out. Complete information diet. Don't tell them when you're leaving or where you're going. Just go. Do you have grandparents or other relatives you could live with? Update. Aita, for what I said to my stepsister after she read my private journals. Hey everyone, hope you all are doing great. I want to start by saying that I'm genuinely sorry for not responding to everyone individually, but I read all of the comments, and to everyone who reached out in my DMs. You guys are great. Seriously, not a whole lot has happened, but a few of you asked for an update, so here it is. First, to answer the questions I kept seeing. Yes, I have a part-time job, and I'm saving up. The plan is to move out the second I turn 18. And no, my dad isn't homophobic. He was actually really supportive when I came out a few years ago. Stacy isn't either. Surprisingly, honestly, I think her daughter just did it, 'cause she wanted her friend to think she was cool for making fun of the girl kisser. Lol. Anyway, after reading all your comments and making sure I wasn't actually a monster, I just decided to stop trying. I'm not gonna be rude, but I'm not going out of my way to pretend we're a happy family anymore. I just act the way they deserve. Like 2 days after I posted, my dad came into my room and was like, "Hey, we ordered pizza from your favorite place if you want some." I just said no thanks. He looked genuinely disappointed and said he'd leave some for me in the fridge. I felt kinda bad for like a second, but then I remembered he's the one who let this happen. So I don't care. He's been trying to start conversations with me since then, but I just give 1 or 2 word answers and he eventually gives up. Stacy made her daughter give me this super forced apology in the kitchen the other day. She was just staring at the floor and mumbled, "I'm sorry for reading your diary and being rude. I just said thanks and didn't even look up from my phone. The house is quiet now, which is a massive improvement tbh. I'm just doing my thing, focusing on work and getting out of here. I did go see that new anime movie I was excited about with my friend yesterday, and it was awesome. Anyway, thanks again everyone for confirming I wasn't losing my mind lol for real. It helped comments. Commenter 1. Sometimes you just need to match energy. Give people what they give you. Your family didn't treat you like family, so now you don't have to do it for them. You probably have a bunch of Reddit aunts and uncles. Now who are wishing you the best? If you remember, please let us know when you get out on your own. I was also one of the kids who left the minute they turned 18 too. It can be stressful and isolating, but the peace it brought outweighed the bad immensely. Commenter 2. Is putting a locking door handle on your bedroom door an option? I've done it, and some of the places I've lived in, and the trick is to keep the original in a gallon Ziploc baggie in your closet, so they can change it back after you leave. Something with a key that only you have a copy of. Not only will this protect your stuff, but it will make it very clear that you don't trust any of them and you don't intend for that to change. Commenter 3. Look your dad right in the eyes and in a very cold voice, tell him that your mom would be so disappointed in him. Some fucking pizza isn't going to make his spinelessness go away. Commenter 4. Man, part of me wants to say that your stepsister is just a kid, and kids do stupid crap, but the logical part of my brain tells me, you're a kid too, who had her trust massively broken by the only parent you have left, and the little brat responsible is clearly not sorry for what she did. No, you were NTA in the previous post, bud, and you're NTA now. Definitely agree with other commenters though. Save your money, keep your head down and run as soon as possible. You're gonna be okay, kid. Stories number 16. Something happens to women when they have a son. I wanted to rant and share an experience I had. I recently told my boss and co-workers that I'm expecting everyone was happy and excited for me and it was going well. So I tentatively mentioned I am having a boy. This is my second child, and I got so many weird comments when I told people I was having a girl the first time. So this time around I was expecting some strange comments. But I wasn't expecting this. My boss spoke up and said, you know, something weird happens to women when they have a son. It's like they just become obsessed with them. I can't even begin to describe how gross that made me feel. It's been 3 weeks and I'm still thinking about it. Is this how they see me? As some fragile, obsessed, emotionally incestuous woman? Like my mental state is going to completely deteriorate the second a son enters my life? I'm appalled. The fact that he thinks I'll just turn into a boy mom like the very toxic ones who are way too into their sons really doesn't sit well with me. I love my daughter so much. I adore her, and now I wonder if I adore my son in the same way. Will people notice? Will there be comments about how obsessed I am? Will they think I don't love my daughter to the same way? Anyway, I could fill a book of all the microaggressions I've heard in my life. This is just the latest and most annoying. Comments. Commenter. Some mothers do signed. The daughter of a woman who prefers her son to the point that he is abusive, bullying, and lives with her at 40 along with his new wife. Really. Just raise a good son like my sister did. Her boys. Respect women because she raised them too. The reason you have to raise a good boy and not just a good person is that society doesn't treat boys and girls the same. Boys are not held to the same standard. So you need to. Commenter 2. Currently 8 months pregnant with my first boy, and I've gotten really weird comments too. Not so much the, you'll become obsessed with him, as much as things like, oh, your lucky boys are so much more lovey. You're having a boy. How wonderful. They're so much easier. Girls drive you crazy, especially when they're teenagers. This was especially terrible because it came from some random woman at my OB-GYN office waiting room, and she was with her teenage daughter. I don't have gender disappointment exactly, but I do have gender anxiety about how to raise a good son in this world who is kind, caring, and respectful. I don't think I understood how much some people still put boy children on a pedestal. I think they say things like, you're going to be obsessed with him to you because they are projecting their own obsession onto you. Commenter 3. Said it before and will say it again. For some women, having a son is the first and only time that they get male validation, male respect, and unconditional male love that doesn't also entail performing sexually. Some women go gaga for their son because they finally see someone, a male, who adores them, believes that they are smart and skilled and perfect, and doesn't demand performative sex or gender roles and male attention can be cherished to the point that some women will drive away partners of their sons so they don't have to share the attention. Commenter 4. Toxic boy mom is a popular trope that has a lot of visibility recently because of so much online discourse about this concept. People now have the mental lexicon to notice these traits in friends, family, in real life. Egg toxic mother of the groom, none, and are also starting to reflect on how toxic boy moms are often a big factor in creating their lazy, narcissistic, selfish ex-boyfriends, or their golden child, shock, failed to launch brothers. All that to say it's not you. Most people are not trying to be weird. It's just a concept that has started to open a lot of eyes recently and created a lot of self-revelations, and people wrongly assume that it's more common or automatic than it really is. It's like if someone first learns about toxic masculinity, they may wrongly assume that all masculinity is toxic. See enough toxic boy moms, and maybe people think all boy moms are toxic. Stories number 17. Aita for telling my fiancé her tattoo of my dead brother makes me uncomfortable? First-time Redditor here. Okay, so for context, my older brother, 30 en mer, while I'm 29 en mer, passed away 3 years ago in a motorcycle accident. This fucked me up severely, still does. He was my best friend, and we had that whole inseparable, since we knew each other type shit. Even if he was older, he was never the stereotypical older brother bully sort, and I loved him for that. Anyway, my fiancée, who I'll call Bella, is 28F, and met him only a few times but always said she admired our bond as she has no real siblings of her own. Only step, but they aren't close. A few weeks ago, Bella surprised me with a fucking tattoo she got in memory of my brother. It's this pretty fucking big, realistic grayscale tattoo of his face with a little Snoopy icon beside it on her upper arm, with his nickname we use, and his birth and death dates underneath. When I saw this, I was fucking stunned. She said she did it as a tribute to him and to support me. BC. She knows how much I still struggle with grief. I honestly didn't know what to say at first, but the more I sat with it, the more it bothered me. I told her gently, as much as I could tbh, that I appreciated the gesture, but found the tattoo really uncomfortable. Like it's unsettling to see his face on my fiancé's body. Like it's too much, especially since they barely knew each other. She got upset and said I was being weird about a nice gesture, and making her regret doing something beautiful. Her words, now she's distant. And my mom thinks I should just be thankful someone loved my brother enough to memorialize him. But first off, I didn't ask her to do this. Now I'm stuck with a fiancé that won't even talk to me properly, and my brother's perfectly black and gray eyes staring at me when I'm laying beside her. And honestly, I don't even want to think of how horrifying having sex would be with that on her arm. Am I being unreasonable? Asshole-ish? Is it in my right to ask her to get it covered up or like zoinked off? I'm adding some additional details because I don't know how to respond individually. My fiancé and I both have tattoos, and many of them. I have smaller ones. She has bigger ones, to my knowledge. Neither of us are mentally ill in any capacity, and we aren't on medication. I can't believe I have to write this. And ever since my reaction, she has been wearing longer-sleeved shirts in the daytime. At work she has to anyway. But that's for home too. It's only during bedtime that I really see it with her wearing tanks, and it physically hurts. Lol, some of the comments. For info, yes. Me and her both have tattoos and plenty of them. And we're both the sort that like to have tattoos linked to good memories or experiences. Like my latest tattoo 5 or so months ago for my childhood dog. Though I'd like to be clear, I got a paw print with her name under it. A paw print, not a whole portrait of her. My fiancé has similar ones that are larger in scale, so her forearm tattoo with my brother's face isn't half odd aesthetically, it's my fucking brother. Also, to my knowledge, she's been doing fine and has only been bitter for a few weeks by my reaction. Sigh. That's my mistake for not knowing anatomical terms. Just so it's clear, it's on the upper part of her arm, which I thought was the forearm because it's the arm attached to the rest of the body. And so the first one? Forearm? Like foremost? IDK, that's my mistake. It is the upper arm though. Also, in case this comes up, I know the anatomical terms for my legs and torso because I do have tattoos there. Slightly clueless on the arms though, so sorry, but thanks for bringing it up. I will probably ask for her to remove it completely. Though I'm guessing it'll be a hard conversation and she'll expect me to pay for it, which I don't necessarily mind, but it sucks anyway. I was initially going to suggest a cover-up, but I read some comments saying it'd be difficult. I'm not sure, but I'll figure it out once we speak about it again, commenter once, and I don't think you should ask her to have removed or covered up. She'll say you're controlling. I do think you should consider if this is the type of person you want to be in a relationship with at all. I'd break up with her if it were me, reply. Did want to initially ask her to remove it entire. I laser it off, but this is making me doubt it. On the other hand, if she does throw those accusations on me, I feel like I'll have sufficient grounds to call off the engagement and ask for a break. Purely because I've known and loved this woman for so damn long and I don't want to take the wrong action whatsoever, commenter. 2. I really wish she did ask because I would have said no a million times over to my knowledge. She has dealt with death before, but with her mum's cousins and distant relatives. So I guess she's never experienced grief in a way that's deeply personal and close-hitting. I'm glad she hasn't because it's been 3 years for me, and I'm barely intact, but it would explain why she did it. Hear me out. Maybe your brother has been in your spotlight for a long time, and she wants to be, but doesn't know how to. So she goes out of her way to impress you. But unfortunately in an inappropriate way, maybe something along this lines of this happened. Otherwise, IDK man, reply. Hey man, these have been my thoughts exactly, though I'm ashamed to say it. I admittedly have been in over my head with grief ever since everything happened, and feel like she did this to support me, but missed the mark in how she went about it. I don't feel like her actions were mentally ill or ill-natured because I know her, and I know she wouldn't want to hurt me intentionally, so this just might be it, reply, NTA. That's a wild overstep on her part. It's one thing to support you through grief, it's another to permanently tattoo your brother's face on her body when they barely knew each other. That's not a tribute. That's weirdly possessive of your grief and your bond with him. You have every right to feel uncomfortable seeing your late brother's face on your fiancé's arm every day, especially in intimate situations. It doesn't mean you don't appreciate the sentiment. It just crosses a line. She should have asked you before making such a huge decision involving someone so personal to you, weirdly possessive of your grief. I really liked that. And while I think my fiancé didn't have any bad intentions regarding this, it does feel fitting, commenter 3. She gonna have the whole family tattooed on her back, bro won't be able to do it doggy ever again, reply, LOL, laughed at this, a little too loudly update. Hi guys, I don't know if anyone cares enough for this, but for the few that do, here's an update to the situation, lol after breakfast this morning. At around 7:30, it's 10:34 as I write this BTW. I sat down already, was sitting down after eating, but yes, whatever, with my fiancé, and spoke about the fucking tattoo again. I basically echoed all the comments I've received, which by the way I'm so grateful for the most part because some of them were crazy anyway. I told her again that the tattoo made me very uncomfortable, and wasn't the leap she needed to take to comfort or support me on my journey with grief, as I still had a firm belief that she didn't do this in a malicious manner. She was quiet initially, and then asked if she could explain herself, and I said I was willing to listen. To summarize, she said she simply got the tattoo because she thought it would symbolize the extent she would go to love me and support me, and said in that way, I had both people I loved so much in the same place. Her words, not mine. She did say she was sorry and that she wouldn't have done it if she knew that I wouldn't have liked it. I asked her why she hadn't spoken to me about it prior, and she said it wouldn't have been a surprise then, which is what she wanted it to be. She also said, and I'm remembering this fresh and internally cringing as I write this LOL, that the tattoo was meant to be a symbol of a new beginning, because we're going to get married in a couple of months, and she wanted to turn over old leaves. I'm still stuck on what she meant, so I'd appreciate any word sleuths helping me in this. To wrap it up, I said, I didn't want to end our relationship over this, and I really wanted to move on from it. But that, she needed to either cover it up or laser it off, and she was, to say the least, not very happy about it. Said a cover-up would be complicated and would take too long. Said laser might be painful and look scary from the videos. Also said she likes how the tattoo looks, along with her other ones, and asked if I'd be okay with her just covering it up either with clothes or foundation. I was as firm as I could be. Mind you, this is the woman I've loved for 5 years straight. So admittedly I'm soft, but I reiterated that I wanted it gone either by a cover-up or laser. She was quiet then, and that's honestly where the conversation ended. She already left for work at 10, and I'm going to start my own work now. as I work remotely from home after I finish this. Anyways, I hope this works out and I would appreciate any advice. I did read a comment that shamed me for taking this to Reddit instead of speaking with her first, so I will prioritize our communication first but will hopefully keep this updated. Thanks for all the help for now. Commenter 1. Did you ask what she meant by turning over old leaves? Reply, I was going to, yes, but she asked to speak first without interruptions, so by the time I got around to discussing it as a whole, I'd forgotten update 2. It's final. I've broken up with her. I don't even know why I'm writing this other than to get some closure on this situation, and maybe some support. I've read so many comments this morning, and while it didn't go the way I or anyone anticipated, I've taken my decision, though I'm struggling to accept it myself. Last night when Bella came home from work, I made sure to make dinner and asked if we could talk after dinner in the back garden. She said that was okay, but that she needed time to shower and unwind before dinner, so she'd be a bit late. But that I could start eating? I agreed, and she went upstairs while I ate the dinner I'd made with the TV on in the back. She came down about an hour later, while I was winding things up and washing the dishes from earlier, and I offered to get her a hot plate, and she agreed, saying she'd eat it on the couch in our living room rather than the kitchen where we have a dining table. Also where I ate, I said that was fine, and I brought it over to her, and as I gave it to her while she was sitting, her hand out to take it, I somehow managed to drop it, and the hot spag bowl went all over her. I immediately apologized profusely, and went to grab her some water and tissues, towels, but she just started screaming at me. I do not want to make myself sound like a victim in this, so I want to be careful with how I write this. But yes, she started saying that I did that on purpose, and that I was punishing her for our conversation that morning. And for the tattoo in general, I immediately defended myself as I brought over a damp towel and some tissues, and said I knew I had a steady grip on the plate, so there was no way I had done that on purpose. Also saying that I always spoke respectfully and calmly to her about the tattoo situation, and that I'd never escalate things like this. Things beyond are a blur, but we had a big fight, and she broke many, and I mean many of our glasses and plates, even trying to pull off a cabinet door in our kitchen that was already not in good condition, and threw anything around her at me. By the end of it, I said I couldn't be with her anymore, and that this was the last straw, and left for my parents' house. I haven't returned, and I haven't picked up any of her calls or messages, and I'm honestly afraid of what she'll do to my belongings if she so easily broke so much of the shit we bought together. I'm still at my parents' house and I haven't told them either, but I think this is it. This may be the last update because I don't know if I can focus on this when I have everything else I need to resolve. Thank you for all your comments. I really appreciated them, and I never expected this outcome. Peace and love to all that helped. Final update. Have spoken to family about it, and they asked me to try to have a final conversation to remedy this, and I rejected it. We'll be bringing my things back either tonight or tomorrow, depending on when she gets back from work, and will bring a friend with me. I'm more at peace with my decision now, so thank you for all the help. Stories, number 18. I 22F just found out my late half-sister 40F is still alive. I'm flipping shit, you guys. My sister and I hadn't been close at all given the age difference, the fact that she lived across the country, and the parent that we share was horrifically abusive towards me. Still, when she was diagnosed with cancer in 2013, I helped by sending her some money here and there. She ended up getting a lot worse. And when I dropped out of college for unrelated reasons, I worked several jobs so I could help her out a lot more financially. I got the news that she passed away summer of 2016 and was invited to attend the service, although I couldn't because I wasn't able to get off from work. Fast forward to today when I get a request from her social media account. And looking through her posts, she's not only alive, but way better off than I am. I'm glad she's not dead, but what the hell? I haven't said anything to her because I'm not sure how to confront her about it. And B, what I even want. I don't think I want to have a relationship with her given what went down. But mostly my mind is reeling and I'm trying to make sense of it. TLDR, dead sister follows me on Instagram. Surprise, she's not dead at all. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Who told you the news that she'd passed away? Was it possible someone told you that without her knowledge? Reply, her husband called to tell me. Commenter 2. Did your half-sister know that her husband did this? Reply, No idea, I haven't worked up the courage to talk to her yet. Commenter 3. Working on the assumption this isn't some phishing scam from someone out for some profit from you. You mentioned that the parent you share was abusive to you both. Can I ask, are they still in the picture? Would it be possible that this death, if it isn't some bizarre fake setup by the husband without your sister's knowledge, hasn't got more to do with her relationship with this parent than anything else? If the parent in question is still alive, and the sister was involved in this death scenario, then be wary. She may have legit reasons for pretending to be dead, but it's an extreme reaction. More likely it would be to shake some responsibilities or debts or similar. If there is a benign reason for this scenario, it may be she is reaching out because you had tried to help, and she has feelings about this. None of this is on you. This is a lot to process. Reply. Well, her latest pictures have been this Christmas with said parent and his new family, as well as her husband. They look like recent real pictures and everyone looks happy. And the account has been active through the time she was supposedly dead until now. So I don't know. Commenter 4. When your sister was ill, did you speak to her on the phone or FaceTime? Her? If all communication was done on Facebook or online during this time, I'd guess that someone was catfishing you, as this was the time they were requesting money. Also, did you send the money to her actual bank account or just wire it? Is there a mutual family member you can talk to about this? This is such a big shock, and you'll obviously be very betrayed and confused. You need some support. Sorry this has happened. Reply. Thanks. I've gotten a lot of insight from people's comments, but I'm still just baffled. I was pretty removed from that side of the family. She and I spoke to each other occasionally, but when she told me about the cancer, we got a lot closer and would Skype pretty often until her health went downhill. But even then we would still talk on the phone. Commenter 5. My only thought is that if her husband lied about it, wouldn't she have reached out to the family members and friends who presumably attended the funeral to ask why she hadn't heard from them? Unless she was NC with most of her family? And if she was in on the ruse, it seems odd to me that she'd just pop back up on social media. I mean, if you were really the only person, or one of a very few who could have been duped in such a way by her husband, it's possible that's what happened. Otherwise, I think it's a hacked account, because I have a hard time believing someone would fake their own death and then re-add their sister. Unless it's a cry for help, or she has memory loss of some sort, ETA. Actually, something occurred to me. Sometimes if you go through add former email contacts, it's actually easy to accidentally request people. LinkedIn is the worst for that. So it's actually technically possible she really did fake her death and then blow her cover by way of tech fail. But the question remains, how are you the only one who didn't know? Unless she has all new contacts, and/or you were the only person from her past she stayed in touch with? Reply. I'm assuming that I was the only one that got duped since her account has been active this whole time. She and her husband were the only ones I kept in contact with on that side of the family. So of course I never got any confusion when I talked about my sister having passed away, and it never occurred to me to seek proof of her death. I don't know why she would have added me if she did fake it, but your edit seems like a reasonable explanation. And this comment from Oof, honestly, the thing that hurts me the most is the recent holiday pictures with our father. When we reconnected after the diagnosis, we had this huge heart-to-heart about the abuses he inflicted on us, as well as him being the reason for our distance. Even if it turns out to be a huge misunderstanding, I don't know how much of a relationship I would want, because I don't want to invite him back into my life. Even just by association. Edit. Lots of perspectives here. It looks like the only thing I can do is talk to her. But I'm still just not there yet. Judging by the pictures on the account, the cancer was real. There are a lot of pictures of her in the hospital and her recovery process afterwards, and through the time she was supposedly dead. There are a lot of recent pictures with abusive parent and his new family as well, so I don't know what to think. It was her husband who broke the news to me, and I didn't think to ask for proof, because, well, who thinks of that at a time like that? She hadn't talked to me for a while because she said she hadn't been feeling well, and my only contact with them at that point was with them update. My sister, who I was told passed after a battle with cancer, added me on social media. After going through her profile, it was clear that it was definitely her. You guys encouraged me to talk to her to find out what happened. It took me a bit to come up with the will to do so, but I finally did. I sent her a very short but polite message, saying that I was glad that she seemed to be doing well, but I was very confused because I had been told she died. Apparently, our father told her that I was a huge source of negativity, and that it was unhealthy for her to have me in her life while she was going through the cancer. She told me she didn't believe that, but that he offered to pay for her treatments and such in full if she just cut contact with me forever, and they came to the conclusion together that it would be better for me if I thought she was just dead. She told me that she was reaching out. Now, because he had given her permission to, as he felt I was in a better place now, I was pretty furious when I read that, especially since I had been helping her out financially and in pretty significant amounts. I know how stressful medical bills and how much of a relief it would be if someone offered to completely take care of mine, but at the same time I hate that our relationship had a price tag. We grew pretty close, at least I thought so, even commiserating about how awful that man had made our lives, but he was able to just swoop in so easily and manipulate us again. I didn't know what to say at first, so I let myself cool down, talked about it with my partner, and then ultimately decided to let her know that I appreciated her telling me the truth, and that I'm glad she's well, but that I'd prefer if we didn't talk much going forward, as I was really hurt by what she did, and that I didn't want any avenue for our father to have any contact, much less control over my life. TLDR's shitty father offered to take care of her financially if she faked her death with me to cut contact. He changed his mind and gave her permission to talk to me again. But I decided I'm better off without her in my life anyway. Final comments. Commenter 1 OP. I'm so sorry you are going through this. You handled this amazingly, though you are more thoughtful and mature at 22 than your sister is at 41. Thing I wanted to point out, though, he felt I was in a better place now. Was he just pulling this out of his ass, or does he have some way of keeping tabs on you? You might want to look into this and see how he is getting information about your life. Reply. That thought sent chills down my spine. I think he's just making things up because there haven't really been any changes of note in my life. Commenter 2. She was reaching out now because he had given her permission. She didn't even have the guts to actually reach out to you, though she just blankly added you on social media, causing you to have one of the biggest mindfucks anyone could go through. Like she could have added a note explaining what happened and why she was actually reaching out. Now I'm so sorry I don't have any real advice, but I want to say that I think you've handled this really sensibly so far. I'm glad you have your partner to lean on right now. Please be kind to yourself. Reply. Yeah, I'd honestly rather still be kept in the dark. I think there's a lot of emotions that I have to work through regarding this, but my guy is a really solid dude, and other than some very mild I told you so's, he's been amazingly supportive. When told to get the money back, OOP gave the sister. I'm not really interested in getting the money back. Of course it would be immensely helpful since I'm at the moment trying to go back to school, still trying to pay off my own medical debt, and playing with the idea of a wedding, but that wasn't money taken from me unfairly. At the time she was really in a spot where she needed it, and I was happy to be able to help. Plus I had a sister for a while because of it, so I'm okay with just letting that go. And this comment from OOP sums it up. There are a lot of emotions I have to work through still. I feel hugely betrayed by this, especially because it was never a situation where she was faced with the decision of cut out your sister or die. She wasn't having to turn down treatment, just didn't want to be shackled with all the debt. I'm really frustrated and really hurt, and maybe I'm holding her to too high of a standard, because I know situations are different for different people, but I was somewhat recently in and out of the hospital for a heart condition, and I would have given anything to have family that actually cared about me around. I don't know, either way, I'm resolved to more or less avoid her, so I'm just trying to put it out of my head. Stories number 19. I told my friend why I don't want to date him, and our friends are saying I broke him, Aita? So my 21F, friend of 10 years Mark, not real name 23 mem, called me yesterday to meet him for lunch, and that he had something important to discuss with me. I had free time, so I agreed. I met him already there and joined him. We had lunch. Then we talked a lit about random things. Then he cleared his throat and started speaking. He first told me that he didn't understand why I was dating my now boyfriend when he's a better match for me. I asked him to explain, and he basically went on about how he liked me first and he met me first. He's more good-looking, knows me better. He's taller than my boyfriend and more successful, which is not true in a way. My BF works aside from growing up in wealth while Mark's entire life is funded by his parents' money. Lol, he told me he doesn't understand how I can be with him when he's always been around waiting for me. I was out of words and asked him if he wanted me to be honest, to which he said yes. I told him that I would never want to date him, given how I've seen the way he treated his past girlfriends. He ghosts them when he feels like it, and just expects them to be there, waiting. I told him he's too immature and irresponsible for me, and that dating him would be exhausting. I also explained that the reasons I mentioned was why over time I started putting a distance to our friendship, because I didn't like the way he treated the women in his life. When I was done, he was just quiet. He just excused himself and left. I went home and went about my day. Later in the evening, our other friends started asking what I did to Mark, and that he's been a wreck since he met me for lunch. He's drinking and not telling anyone what happened. I explained to them what happened, and they are saying I was harsh, and that I broke him, blah blah blah. But I think someone had to tell him the truth. So Reddit fam, am I the AH? Edit, I know. Everyone says this, but whoa, I didn't think this post would blow up so much. I'm trying to get through the comments and answers, some questions that are there. Was sort of occupied the whole day, so I just opened Reddit. Thank you all for the comments. Honestly, edit too. I'm so overwhelmed by the comments. In a good way. Most are really funny. I've been laughing so much I woke my sister's baby. I've sent my post to my friend not associated with Mark, and our group chat is blowing up with more laughter, but in all seriousness, I'm thankful for the great comments and people giving advice on my safety. I'll definitely be more aware of my surroundings going forward. I don't know Mark as a violent person, but then again, this incident has proved that I may not know him. Like I think I do. Mark is currently blocked from everything. Our mutual friends, who were supporting him and calling me out, are also blocked. And this is also a learning lesson to me, to distance myself a lot more quicker next time I see red flags in future friendships. Thank you again, Reddit fam. If anything happens, I'll update you all. And I'll still be reading the comments and answering what I can. Comments. Commenter 1. NTA. Even if you had kinda liked him, I feel like declaring his feelings by being rude about your current partner is such a turnoff. He doesn't say anything meaningful or romantic about you, just that he thinks he's better than your actual BF, so you should dare him instead. So entitled. Commenter 2. You didn't break him. His ego is just bruised. Rejection is a part of life, and it's on him to learn from it. Nataps, he did ask you to be honest, and you gave him exactly that. Commenter 3. NTA. He literally talked about you and treated you like a piece of property. That alone would be yonj, to say not interested. The fact that this is how he treats all his prior GFs shows you who he is. Anyone who claims telling him the truth broke him, and you were too harsh, is not someone you want in your life either. I would stop being friends with all of them. You are the company you keep. Commenter 4. NTA. You were honest and he couldn't handle the hit to his ego. Good for you for being direct with him. Time will tell if he learns. From that talk, it seems like he needed to hear it. Hope your relationship with your current BF works out for you. Stories number 20. Airplane story. Family tries to trick me into switching to the middle. Just came across this Reddit, and I'm seeing a lot of airplane stories, so I thought I'd share mine. I just gotta say, even I can't believe that this actually happened to me. It's so ridiculous. A couple of years ago, I was on a fully booked international flight. The flight was gonna be 8 hours, and it was one of those big planes with 3 rows, 3 seats on each side and 4 in the middle. I was in economy sitting alone in the aisle seat of one of the side rows. A couple with their already unhappy toddler walks up, and the wife and kid sits down in the middle row beside me. The dad looks around distraught, talked to his partner, and asks me if I could switch seats with him so he could sit with his family. I was reluctant but asked him what seat he had. To my surprise, he said he had a seat in business class, so of course I said absolutely. I started to get up and grab my luggage, but once I stood up he was like, "Wait, my wife actually wanted to go sit up there. Can you take her seat instead?" I said no. I'm not switching to the middle row and being blocked into a middle seat by a screaming toddler. And you said you wanted to sit with your family? The dad got all defensive and switched up, holding up traffic during this entire interaction. BTW, raising his voice, going on about how I said I could switch seats with them and how it's not fair to his wife, who had planned on taking his seat up in business class. Not my proudest moment. but I was starting to sass back at him. I'm pretty sure I asked him something along the lines of if he had any extra of whatever drugs he was on, because it had to have been some top-notch stuff for him to be acting so crazy in public. At this point, a flight attendant had finally squeezed her way up to us and asked why we weren't taking our seats. Before I could say anything, this man had the audacity to say that I had offered to take his wife's seat, and now I wasn't cooperating. I called bullshit. Thankfully, the passenger sitting behind me backed me up, and the flight attendant was not in the mood to play. She asked to see his ticket, told me to grab my luggage, and escorted me up to his seat. Needless to say, I had a very nice flight after that. Comments. Commenter 1. I had one from NY to San Diego. She was middle, and her boyfriend was middle in the other row. She tried everything to get me to give up my aisle seat. Not sure how we got these seats. Maybe someone will switch me. Well, most people pay for these seats, so they probably won't want to. He's my BFME. Well, it's only a 5-hour flight. It's his birthday weekend. Me. Thank goodness it's a 3-day weekend, so you have plenty of time to make it up. She stopped asking after that. Commenter 2. OP. Not my proudest moment, but I was starting to sass back at him. Not your proudest moment? Some asshat tries to gaslight you when you were being nice, and you didn't let him take advantage. You did okay. Reply. Commenter 3. The audacity of trying to downgrade someone to a middle seat for 8 hours is insane. Glad the flight attendant wasn't having it. The fact that he doubled down and lied to the flight attendant makes it even worse. Glad karma was instant. With you in business class, entitled people always expose themselves. If he'd just been honest and polite, maybe he could have worked something out with someone else, but nah. He had to be a jerk. Commenter 4. So he was going to have you sit next to his kid and he was going to sit across the aisle? Reply, basically. I mean, they're still within an arm's length of each other, and for a minute he probably thought he had a free babysitter too. Stories number 21. My brother's wedding turned into a surprise talent show, and I don't know if I should say something. So, my brother just got married last weekend, and while the ceremony itself was lovely, the reception went in a direction that none of us were expecting. His new wife's family is very into performing arts. Like, every single family gathering they put on skits, dances, or karaoke. We all knew this going in, but none of us thought it would spill over into the wedding. About halfway through the reception, right after the first dance, her cousin grabbed the mic and announced that the bride's side had prepared a little entertainment. At first it was cute. Her younger nieces did a short dance and everyone clapped. But then it just kept going. A different cousin sang a full song. Then her uncle read a long poem he wrote about love. Then 2 aunts did a comedy sketch. It wasn't short either. This went on for over an hour, back to back, and the DJ basically had to just stand aside. The awkward part was that my brother and his new wife were basically sidelined. During all of this, the spotlight completely shifted from them to the performance's guests on our side of the family were visibly bored and kept whispering about when the dance floor was going to open. At one point, my grandmother leaned over to me and asked if she could leave early because she didn't come for a talent show when the mic was finally free again. People had already started slipping out. By the time the dancing resumed, a good chunk of guests were gone, including some of our older relatives who had a long drive back. My brother tried to laugh it off and said he didn't want to hurt his new in-laws' feelings, but I could tell he was frustrated. He and his wife barely got to enjoy their own reception. Now here's my dilemma. Do I bring this up to him, or just keep quiet? Part of me feels like if this is how her family normally is, it might happen again at future events, and someone should gently point out that hijacking the spotlight at a wedding isn't a great look. On the other hand, maybe it's not my place and I should let it go. Would you say something? Or just let my brother deal with it if he feels it's an issue? Stories number 22. I made out with my female best friend, and now she's mad at me and a few friends. We're heading to the club and I was walking next to my GBSF's childhood bestie, who I have only talked to a few times in the past, so we don't really know each other. Now we all know you can't bring your own drinks in the club. But this girl had just over half a wine bottle left and asked me to throw it away for her. I then asked her as a joke, "Do you think I can down this with no breaks in less than 5 seconds?" She said no, I couldn't, and I asked her what she'd give me if I did it. I'm still joking at this point, as we have never flirted or even remotely been into each other the whole night, so I was genuinely asking, and she said, "IDK, what do you want?" So I joked and said, "Give me a kiss if I do." Now she said, yeah, and laughed because she thought I couldn't. I'm very competitive, so I went ahead and did it. And instead of a peck on the lips like I was expecting, she pulled me in and started to make out with me. My GBSF turned around and after we finished our business, she came up to me and just was mad as hell. I'm not sure what to think because I feel like I didn't do anything wrong and neither did the girl I kissed. Commenter 1. Obviously you're going to get loads of comments about how GBSF caught feelings for you or whatever, but that's just Reddit brain. It's more likely way simpler than that. Worlds colliding, friends from different circles meeting. You hooking up with her childhood bestie has stripped her of her sense of control over how these different corners of her life intersect and interact. It's a super common and totally normal thing, especially for people who are prob college-aged at the oldest guessing based on how youthful this conflict is. If you have an emotionally close relationship to GBSF, then I think you two should talk about this. And if she's willing to be honest and admit to feeling a little weird about her friends developing an independent connection, you should do your best to be empathetic and try to find a solution that works for everyone. She has no right to control what you or her other friend do, but as her friend I'm sure you want to respect and care for her feelings here. Of course, I could be totally wrong here. LOL, people are complicated. Just wanted to offer what I think is a more likely explanation than the usual Reddit special. Commenter 2. Okay, I'm old. How does GBSF cock a girl best friend? Where does the S come from? Why not GBF? Commenter 3. She's upset about the increased potential for drama. She knows she'll have to make a choice between the two of you. Eventually. Commenter 4. Are you dating this girl? No? Then she has no right to be mad. LOL. If she is, then she definitely has some feels for ya. Reply. This girl has a boyfriend and we have both made it clear to each other that we don't like each other. So I really don't understand why she's mad. LOL. Stories number 23. I 28F suspect my partner 30 is having both an emotional and physical affair. I found messages on my partner's phone in late May to a female coworker after his work night out to the tune of, her, I like you so much, this is bad. Him, I know this is bad. It can't happen again. I know you like me, and I know you know I like you too, but I love my girlfriend. Her, I know I'd never expect you to choose. I confronted him about these the next day, and he said she had tried to kiss him at the bar, but nothing happened, which is why he said it can't happen again. I took this as face value, with the redeeming factor being he shut her down verbally too. I had a gut feeling to go through his phone in August. I found more messages the day after another work night out. Her, I've got it downright bad for you, so annoying, How the fuck did this happen? Him, I'm not sure how this happened. Her, I really like you. Why do I always fall for people in relationships? Him, I know what you meant, and I know you like me. I think you know I like you too, but I do love me, so this isn't an ideal situation. Her, yeah, I know, and I'd never expect you to choose. That's why I'm like, nah. Him, I know you'd never expect me to choose. I suppose you can't help who you fall for. Her, you started it, and you can't deny. Him, I think you'll find you kissed me first. Her, you didn't pull away. Insert more messages where she insinuates she wants to have sex with him at work. I confront him the same night. He blows up about lack of privacy, etc. I explain how hurt I am. He says they did kiss, but that's it, and that he did shut her down. And I said, not really. I asked him to block her on all socials and tell her it's done, no more contacting outside of work-related matters. He said no, as he still wanted to be friends, as they work closely. Now except he's just been on a night out. Gets home at 6 a.m. I have his location. I have been through his phone and in his deleted messages. She has messages saying she thinks she loves him. This is at 5:30 a.m. after 15 hours of drinking. He replies, yeah, I think I feel the same way, which is a bad feeling to have. She tells him, you do not mean this, delete these messages, I am thrown. How do I bring this up without saying I've gone through his phone again? I would give him one last chance, but it would be an ultimatum of quitting his job, letting me message her a calm pre-written message, and never going drinking with this group of people again, as well as couples therapy. Am I being stupid? Do I cut my losses and run now? Stories number 24. After 3 years of no intimacy with my husband. It broke me and I can't stand his touch. I don't understand men. He told me that he wasn't attracted to me anymore after 10 years marriage and 3 children. This was 3 years ago. I sent me into deep depression because of the shock. He didn't want divorce because he said he still loved me and loved being with me. So I agreed that he would get a girlfriend, someone he works with. Now for the past few months, maybe a year, he has been making remarks about me being beautiful. I ignored it because he told me he wasn't attracted to me anymore. Then he started to talk about wanting me again. I didn't agree, and reminded him that he said he wasn't attracted to me anymore and that he had a girlfriend. He said that he would end it for me if I wanted, because he made a mistake. I said no and reminded him that our deal was that if he wanted a GF, he couldn't have me too. Then he broke up with his girlfriend and made it sound like he was doing it for me. Last weekend we were intimate because he said that he loved and missed me. It was the worst thing I have ever felt. I cried for days afterwards. I am angry that I still love him after all this. I want a divorce because of it. He doesn't get it. He said I didn't want a divorce when he left me, but now I want a divorce, even though I said I loved him, but he doesn't understand that it is because I love him that I want a divorce. He broke me. I agreed to stay because I was weak and couldn't stand living without him. I wanted my family with me. I couldn't stand living without my children, tucking them to bed every night. I wanted the safety, the one big home for all of us. And he agreed to my only condition that he would never touch me again. But we broke that condition that worked as a fragile scaffolding made out of paper, and with the littlest touch, my sanity and false sense of safety are collapsing. But of course he doesn't understand why I stayed when he didn't want me but want to leave when he wanted me back, because if he did, he would probably not have done this to me in the first place. Stories number 25. AIO for thinking of leaving my boyfriend after he slapped me during an argument. So I 26F have been dating my boyfriend 29M for about 2 years. We've had our ups and downs, but I always felt like we had good communication. That all changed last weekend. We were arguing about something stupid. Honestly, it started because I wanted to leave a party earlier and he wanted to stay. It escalated in the car on the way home. He started yelling at me for being controlling, and I told him I didn't like being spoken to like that. When we got back to the apartment, I said I was done with the conversation and wanted to sleep it off. That's when he snapped. He grabbed my wrist, and when I tried to pull away, he slapped me across the face. I froze. I was completely shocked. He immediately started apologizing, saying he just lost it, and that it would never happen again. The next morning, he acted like it was no big deal and told me I was being dramatic. I tried to explain how unsafe it made me feel, but he brushed it off, saying it was just one mistake. I keep going back and forth in my head. Part of me thinks if he did it once, he'll do it again. Another part of me wonders if I'm giving up too soon after one terrible night. I know people make mistakes, but this doesn't feel like something I can just forgive and move on from. It feels like a line was crossed that we can't come back from. AIO for considering ending the relationship over this. Stories number 26. It is not illegal to be on your cell phone in a DT. I'm not sure, but I don't think I posted this here. Anyway, this is about the time I got yelled at for honking my car horn at a person in the drive-thru of a busy coffee shop. The woman ahead of me was engrossed in her phone call. So engrossed she didn't notice as the cars in front of her moved up, ordered and moved on to pick up and pay. I waited until it was her turn to order, with the line growing behind me, before I tapped my horn as lightly and quickly as I could. My intent was to get her to look up. I expected she would realize there were no cars in front of her at all. She's 4 car lengths from the order box, and it's time for her to pull up and place an order. Instead, she put her car in park, got out, and came back to me screaming at me that I had no right to honk at her, and it is not illegal to be on your cell phone in a drive-thru. I responded that I don't give a fuck. Either place an order or get the fuck out of the way, because I waves at the line of cars and drivers staring at her, and the rest of us just want to get a fucking cup of coffee. She storms back to her car with one more, "It's not illegal," before pulling up and ordering. Stories number 27. I opened up to my GF. She dumped me. I've been going through a lot of shit recently. I don't really want to say what, but my life has honestly been crap. I've never ever spoken to anyone about my mental health or my feelings before, so it was really hard. But I needed to talk to someone. I couldn't handle everything anymore. My girlfriend knew I wasn't happy recently. She kept asking me what was wrong, mostly because she thought I was upset with her. I ended up talking to her about everything. She just sat there and listened, which is what I wanted. I just wanted someone to listen to me. Everything seemed to be fine at first, but the next day she was acting really off with me, and I didn't know why. I asked her, and she just told me she wasn't feeling very well. The day after that, she broke up with me. It seemed out of the blue to me, the time I had no idea why. So now my life is even more shit than it was to start with. That was a week ago now. And a few hours ago, a mutual friend told me she said she broke up with me because seeing him cry was such a turnoff, and she didn't know I was weak. Apparently her and her girlfriends were all taking the piss out of me. I literally have no one to talk to. And the only person I honestly felt comfortable enough with dumped me and then started talking shit about me to her friends. We had been together for just over 2 years, too. I honestly didn't know she was like this. First time I had cried in like 10 years. 010, do not recommend. Stories number 28. Aita for not supporting my GF after she broke our one relationship rule. Me, 25M, and my GF, 26F, had agreed early on in our relationship. It could be an open relationship. However, to make sure things did not go out of hand, we had 2 rules. 1. No secret relationships. We talk about who we are with each other, and tell the other why we want to be with said person. 2. We will always find our way back to each other after exploring other options. Fast forward to the issue. My Jeff comes home after what was supposed to be a trip to a cafe and immediately locks herself in our bedroom. When she leaves the bedroom, I try and ask her how her trip went and got defensive really fast. I ended up apologizing before continuing with dinner, where I find her friend's Instagram. Seeing her with this blonde-haired guy, I ask if anything happened, to which she replied no, and I left it at that. However, a week later, I overheard her friends speak of the same guy, and what happened between them in a hotel room. When she returns, I ask her about it, and she admits she was flirting with him, but nothing more. She accuses me of spying on her, but I know the signs and know she is lying about something. I also see their messages seem to suggest they did even more than simply flirting. I feel like her having this secret is a sign she disregards the rules we made together. Stories number 29. Employee wanted my name to compliment me to our manager. This is a bit of an inversion than the usual, but a light-hearted and funny one. I was at my local grocery store really early one morning. Not a lot of customers were there yet. I was minding my own business, trying to efficiently get my stuff and leave, when I notice a really short employee, about my age, on her tippy toes, trying to reach some stuff from the very back of a high for her shelf. She had a big curbside cart next to her. As a tall woman, I am used to paying the tall person tax, so I offered help. She told me how many of the things she needed. I handed them to her. She said thanks, and that was, I thought that. As I turned to continue shopping, she said, "Wait, what's your name?" Very confused, I answered her, and then asked why she was going to tell management how helpful I had been. I just blinked at her, looked down at my very obviously not an employee uniform outfit, then back up at her. The light dawned before I could think of a polite response, and she promptly apologized. We both laughed and agreed we needed more caffeine, and continued about our days. Stories number 30. They else think women are objectively more attractive than men? Okay, before anyone jumps on me, I'm straight. Always have been. But the older I get, the more I notice something. Women are just more beautiful than men. And not in a grass is greener kind of way. I genuinely think, on average, women are more visually pleasing to look at than men like. Even in the most ordinary, everyday settings, walking down the street, grocery shopping, commuting on the train, I catch myself thinking, wow, women just look better. Hair, skin, outfits, posture, even the way they carry themselves. There's something about it that feels aesthetically superior. Meanwhile, men, myself included, often come across as rougher, more awkward, or just kind of unfinished. And I don't just mean model-level attractiveness, I'm talking about regular, everyday people. If you put an average woman and an average man side by side, 9 times out of 10, I'd say the woman is the more attractive one. I also think there are simply more attractive women than men. Like, the distribution is skewed. Of course, attraction is subjective. Everyone has different preferences. But I can say with absolute certainty that in my life, I've encountered way more women I'd call beautiful than men I'd call handsome. It makes me wonder if this is something most people quietly notice but don't really say out loud, like, is beauty just more inherent to women? Or is it because of social expectations, makeup, fashion, self-care, etc.? I'm especially curious what straight women and gay men think. Is this something you've noticed too, or am I just biased? Update: wow, I did not expect this post to get as much attention as it did. I honestly thought maybe a handful of people would chime in, but it seems like a lot of you have really strong opinions on this. I spent the last couple of days reading through the comments. There were way more than I could reply to individually, and I've been reflecting on what people said. A few things stood out. Social conditioning and effort. The number one response I got was that women often appear more attractive because they're socially conditioned, and sometimes pressured, to put in more effort: makeup, skincare routines, fashion, hairstyling, exercise, even posture. A lot of women are raised to care about their appearance from a very young age. Meanwhile, a lot of men are raised to see those things as optional, or even unmanly. And when I think about it, yeah, that tracks. When I compare my morning routine to my girlfriend's, the difference is insane. I brush my teeth, throw on clothes, maybe fix my hair if I remember. She has a whole ritual: moisturizer, sunscreen, concealer, hairstyled, coordinated, outfit. It's not surprising that she and women in general come across as more visually polished when they've been trained to put in that level of effort. Daily biological angle. A bunch of commenters also brought up evolution and biology. Humans, like many species, tend to place higher visual emphasis on female attractiveness as part of mate selection. That doesn't mean women are objectively prettier, but it does mean our brains are kind of wired to perceive them as such. It's fascinating to think that what I've been noticing might not just be personal bias, but something deeply rooted in biology. My own biases. Some people also pointed out something I hadn't considered. I might just be unconsciously comparing women at their best to men at their average. Like, if I'm walking down the street and see a well-dressed woman who did her hair and makeup, I notice her. If I see a guy in sweatpants with messy hair, I kind of just tune him out. I'm not giving equal attention to the men who do put in effort. And the truth is, when men do dress well, take care of themselves, and present with confidence, they can be very attractive. Basically, part of this might just be me noticing women more because they stand out more to me. Other perspectives. Straight women and gay men had some of the most interesting responses. A lot of straight women said they totally understood what I meant, that men can sometimes seem less aesthetic in comparison. But others said they actually feel the opposite, that they're constantly blown away by male attractiveness and think women's beauty is more standardized. Gay men also chimed in with mixed responses. Some agreed with me, while others said that once you're tuned into noticing men's features, you see a lot more beauty there than most straight guys would, where I'm at now. I don't think I was wrong to say that women often come across as more attractive than men, but I do think I oversimplified it. It's not that women are objectively more beautiful, it's that society, biology, and cultural standards all work together to highlight women's beauty in a way that men's doesn't always get highlighted. And honestly, that made me think differently about myself too. I realized I probably don't put in nearly as much effort as I could in how I present myself. It's not about makeup or anything, but even small things like better grooming, skin care, clothes that actually fit, those make a difference. So weirdly, this post went from, "Are women just prettier than men?" to me kind of realizing I should step up my own game if I don't want to feel like men are always the less attractive side of the equation. Final update, closing thoughts. All right. This will be my last update on this topic. I didn't expect such a rabbit hole when I wrote what I thought was a simple observation about women being more attractive than men. But honestly, the discussion has been eye-opening. After sitting with this for a while, I've come to a few conclusions. Objective beauty doesn't really exist the way I thought it did. When I wrote the original post, I was convinced women were just objectively prettier. But through all the comments and debates, I realized that objectivity in beauty is basically impossible. There are biological factors, symmetry, clear skin, youth, etc., that humans tend to find appealing across cultures. Sure. But the rest? It's so heavily shaped by society, personal bias, and even what we're exposed to. Daily women are trained, men are excused. One of the most repeated points was about effort. Women are encouraged, often pressured, to put work into their appearance, while men are often praised for putting in minimal effort. Think about the difference between a red carpet photo of a female celebrity, hours of prep, glam squad, designer outfit versus a male celebrity guy in a basic tux with stubble. The bar is just set differently. That doesn't mean men can't look as attractive. It just means they often don't have to. So many don't bother. I was guilty of selective perception. I've realized I notice beautiful women all the time because I'm wired to, both socially and biologically. Men, I probably tune most of them out unless they're extraordinary in some way. But once I started paying attention, I realized there are way more attractive men around me than I originally thought. They just didn't register because I wasn't looking for them. Attraction isn't just visual. Some of the best comments reminded me that attraction goes way beyond looks. Confidence, personality, humor, body language. All of these matter. Women might win more in the visual category, at least in my eyes, but when it comes to attraction as a whole, men bring things to the table that aren't as immediately visible. This conversation made me self-reflect. I'll be honest, I've coasted a bit when it comes to appearance. Reading all the responses made me realize that maybe part of the reason I think men, including myself, don't stack up visually is because a lot of us don't even try. Since writing the first post, I've actually started putting more thought into grooming, skincare, and dressing better. It's small, but it already makes me feel more confident. So do I still think women are more attractive than men? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that my instinct still leans that way. I naturally notice women's beauty more often. But no, in the sense that I no longer think it's some universal truth. It's more about perception, conditioning, and what we choose to pay attention to. I think the real answer is this: humans are beautiful. Full stop. We just need to train ourselves to actually see it. TLDR. Originally posted that women are objectively more attractive than men. Got tons of responses pointing out social conditioning, biology, and personal bias. Realized women put in more effort. Men often don't, and I was tuning men out while noticing women constantly. Beauty isn't objective. It's influenced by culture and perception. End result? Women aren't objectively prettier. I was just seeing them through a skewed lens. And now I'm working on presenting myself better too.